the first time you sit in a courtroom and listen to yourself on tape, and the judge orders you to explain what you just said, and if you don't explain what you just said, I'm going to find you in contempt. You learn in the future that all conversations will be subject to possible courtroom scrutiny.
Sure.
And that's that's the biggest takeaway. You ask what takeaway I learned, that's the biggest takeaway, because they never were able to get me again. I come home in I get set up by a federal informant. I come home in 1987. I get found not guilty on my case. It was a complete hoax, a murder hoax. I come back, and there's a new rising star in the Hells Angels, a guy named Anthony Tony Tate.
I remember that name.
And yeah, of course you would, and especially in law enforcement. And he's a rising star in the club. I'm the West Coast chairman at that time. So on my left, I head the meetings. I sit at the head of the table. On the left is the secretary. And, we've come a long ways now. We're no longer taking notes by hand. Everything's computer, man. We're moving into a different era. And on my right is the new state West Coast Sergeant at Arms, Tony Tate. And he's an FBI informant. He's a Hells Angel member, but he's also a paid FBI informant.
At the same time?
At the same time.
And did you guys have an idea that he was?
Well, I didn't like him. And you remember the reference I made earlier about I went to somebody and I said, what do you think of this guy? I go, I'm not comfortable with him. And he goes, I don't know. And I said, man, I can't put my finger on it. And he goes, I can't either.
You got to go with your gut.
You got to go with your gut. You know what he finally told me? I said, what do you think, David? And he goes, you know what I think? I don't think I like the way he parts his hair.
You needed something.
Yeah, but you know what the funny thing is? It's a little weird thing like that.
Yeah.
You just look at a guy sometimes.
You go, he ain't right.
Yeah.
This guy ain't right, man. I don't want to talk to him. You get that feeling in your gut. So I'm sitting next to him a couple of months, 3 months down the road, and this investigation's going on. He's already set up 2 crank makers. They make crank. Couple of guys, another guys he sets up, buy drugs from him. He wants to blow up the Outlaws in Kentucky. That's a bike club. We're having a feud with these guys anyways. We're already in a shooting war with these guys. He's sitting next to me, and he's got a cast on his arm. And I'm looking at the cast, and it's brand new. It's bright white, not a smudge on it. I look at him. He's got no road rash on him.
Back of your neck must have been tingling.
Oh, man. I said, what happened, man? And he goes, I got in a bike wreck. I go, man, you're one of the luckiest guys I've ever seen. And he gets this weird look on his face. He goes, what do you mean? I go, you don't have one bit of road rash. I go, how'd you pull that off, man? I go, you're a lucky dude. And he's just kind of sweating bullets. But he continues. He's trying to engage me. He says, look, I want to go to Kentucky. I want to blow these guys up. And I said, you know what I want to do? I said, I want to make peace with these guys. That's what I want to do. And I said, I don't want no one to go to jail, and I don't want no one to go to the graveyard. I go, what do we want to blow these guys up for? Now, something I didn't say on the tape, this is all on a tape recording, something I didn't say on the tape, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, hey, we're at war with the Outlaws, man. You don't need my permission. Just go blow them up. You want to blow them up? Go blow them up. Don't ask me for permission.
So now that wasn't a thing, like where if something was, like, in other words, if a hit on, if they were going to hit that place in Kentucky,
right,
it didn't have to be sanctioned by
No,
you.
because we're already at war.
Okay.
If somebody wanted to take it upon,
that's interesting.
If somebody wanted to take it upon themselves to put some extra work in, who was I to stop them? We were fighting these guys. Now, if we were at a stalemate and we were negotiating for some sort of, violence, amnesty on violence, then, that's a whole different story.
So there was no holds barred, no rules. Like, you were at war, you could kill as many as you want.
Many as often as you wanted.
You see him, you kill him, and that's it.
That's it. It was on. So let me interject something. So what does he do? He leaves the meeting. Now, this stuff's all documented. If you get the files from the Kentucky trial, Ralph Sonny Barger, his murder for hire conspiracy case, they take him, and he goes, George is on to me. I'm speculating now what they're saying because they didn't record this part. So they cut this I do know. They cut the cast off. This is documented.
Wow.
They take the bug out of the cast, and this is going to give you an idea where the time frame is. So they think, well, what are we going to do? We're going to put the bug. They put the bug and place it in a new device that's just hot on the scene, in a pager.
Wow.
Nobody had pagers back then.
Right.
So he gets his pager, and he goes over to Sonny's house. He's got the pager on, and he's talking to Sonny. This is the ironic thing. In the middle of his conversation with Sonny, trying to entrap him, he gets a page, and it's his handler. And this is also all documented. And he says to Sonny, can I use your phone? So he takes Sonny's landline, no cell phones back then, takes Sonny's landline, calls the feds, and they go, you got to get him to say this, and you got to get him to say that. And this is all recorded. This
How about the balls on that guy, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and we'll get into that.
Got to give him that much.
I'm gonna get into it in a minute.
My apologies for the interruption, but I had a story I wanted to share with you guys. Today, somebody in the gym came up to me and asked me if you had one supplement to recommend, what would it be? And without hesitation, I said creatine. I've been taking creatine for about 15 years now. It is affordable, it is tried and true, and it works. It is the most by far studied supplement on the market, and there's a reason. There's only one problem, and for me, it's inconsistency with taking creatine. Sometimes I'll take it in the morning, sometimes I won't. The powders are an inconvenience. They don't taste that great. So my solution has been Tasty Gains creatine gummies. I take 3 in the morning and I go on about my day. Creatine works by increasing your body's ability to regenerate ATP, which is the primary energy molecule your cells are using. This is going to help your body with any short form movements such as sprinting, jumping, lifting, but it also is going to help with cognitive function and overall sense of well-being. ATP increase does not just help with muscle building, it's going to help with overall sense of well-being and cognitive function, which I definitely need. If you click the link in our description, Tasty Gains is now running a sick buy one, get one deal. So grab some from us because it helps support the channel and you get yourself some high quality creatine gummies. And now back to the episode.
But what's interesting, I'm going to interject something here. If you read about him, he would have to drink 2 or 3 shots of whiskey before he'd go in because his nerves he was becoming rattled. Dude. Especially you got a guy like me going, I don't fucking like you, man.
Right.
And I'm a powerful guy in the club. I'm probably second to Sonny at that particular point in time. And I'm telling people, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
And it's probably getting back to him. But anyways, so he comes back to Sonny, and that's where he cements the conspiracy. He says, look, Ralph, I'm going to blow these guys up, man, and there could be collateral damage. And Sonny says something, I don't give a shit. And he goes, are you sure, man? A lot of people could get hurt. And Sonny makes a cavalier comment. Well, that's what they get for hanging out with those guys.
Right.
Something to that effect. Now, probably 4 months earlier, I come to New York City. Do you remember Operation Rough Rider on the East Coast here with New York City?
Absolutely.
Big bust, man.
Yep.
So all the major players from New York City are in prison at that time. Well, they're in MCD or whatever it is. They're waiting for trial. I come back here and I'm trying to work with the young guys, and we're doing a big defense fund. So Joan Jett says she'll do a benefit for us, and we go to the Limelight. Tony Tate shows up at the Limelight, and him and I start having words in the Joan Jett's dressing room. And, we went out in the hallway, and I got to tell you, man, he was on his own, by himself. I'm a much more powerful guy than him and a much more popular guy than him. And I thought we were going to go to blows. That fucker would not back down. I told him, I go, look, motherfucker, this is the way it's going to be. And he's like getting back in my face. And I'm slowly like just brewing inside, man. And I'm looking at that third button on his shirt. I'm thinking I'm going to clip him right in that third button, take his wind, And right in the midst of all this, it's just getting ready to kick off. Joan Jett comes out of her dressing room. She goes, you guys ready? And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm ready. All right. But I go, yeah. And we followed Joan. So 2 weeks later, who shows up at the Ventura clubhouse? Tony Tate, the rat, to apologize to me for his behavior at the Limelight in New York City. Now, I don't know if that was part of the scam,
Right.
or if they were playing it by ear. I mean, I don't know
Well, they're probably at that point trying to get him back in good graces with you
and
somehow.
that's what he did. He came and apologized. But at the end of the apology, he says, "Hey, you think you could do me a favor?" And I said, "What is that?" He goes, "Man, I'm in a bad way." He goes, "I got in a hole on some dope deals." He goes, "I need a good connection, man. Can you hook me up with some dope?" I go, "Man, I don't sell dope." I go, "Why would I get involved in the dope business for you, Tony? I don't even know you hardly, man." And, I didn't bite. He went down to San Bernardino later that afternoon and got the guys down there to bite. And the guy that sold it to him wound up several months later getting killed by the Mongols. So he never had the answer for it.
Didn't Tony Tate do the whole fake brain thing? Wasn't that they were
what?
supposed to kill somebody?
No, that was Jay Dobbins.
Oh, okay.
He was an actual ATF agent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it
what was this?
confused.
Jay Dobbins.
What was the case?
It was after the Laughlin shootout in 2002 with the Mongols. Do you remember the shootout at the casino?
That was
It was
ridiculous.
crazy,
There's video of that.
There's video of that.
mean,
It's all over
is-
the place. And I tell you what I got to look at. I was part of the defense team that was setting up the, for the trial for the defense. I got to look at like 6 hours of raw footage. And the actual gunfights and the knifings and everything's it's brief. It's
yeah.
but you can see Calvin calculating. He's calculating and he's shooting people. He's just taking his time and aiming. Do you remember? Do you see that?
I've watched it a few times.
Yeah. There's no audio, but you can see the.
How about the Mongol in that tape that's just walking
right
and then
They
ends up
crack him in
getting
the back of the head with a crescent.
Yeah, but he was just walking like nothing was going on. Then he gets cracked in the back of the head.
right in
It's
the
like,
middle of the fight.
It's like, buddy, did you think? Did you think nothing was gonna happen?
Yeah,
you
he
gotta.
hit him in the back of the head with this big old wrench.
Yeah.
Oh my god! This was just part of the ongoing war between you and
Yes,
the Mongols.
yeah.
right?
We had.
But
I had reached an amnesty with those guys.
Oh.
I had reached an amnesty with the outlaws, the banditos, and the Mongols. It was like a no violence.
But wasn't that set up kind of?
I think it was totally set up
by the PD.
They went. I'll tell you what happened. There was 6 Hells Angels staying at Harrah's,
Yep.
where all the Mongols stayed. One of the officers goes down to the Flamingo. That's where the Hells Angels stay. And he says, "Is there an officer here? Now, I don't know if this was by design."
It was totally by design.
okay.
It
All right.
sounds so.
So
bad.
he says, "Is there a Hells Angel officer here?" And they go, "There's nobody in charge here, man. It was just people partying out there." Well, there was one guy that had a lot of sway in the club, and they called him over to the car. And the officer said, "Look, man, I don't know what's going on at Harrah's, but you got 6 Hells Angels surrounded by 100 Mongols up there." He goes, "I'm just letting you know, man." And what do the guys do? They all jump on their bikes
And go.
go. And then next thing you know, Angels walk in there. Ray kicks, I think Roger Penny, a Mongol leader, in the chest, and it's on, man.
That was it.
Was there really 100 Mongols
Yeah.
there? Oh,
Yeah.
so that wasn't like a tip off just to get them all angry.
no. He was so I mean, now you're a police officer, a former police officer,
Yeah.
and you're saying no, that was bull. That's not
It's
an accident.
Listen, when you
Doesn't sound like an accident.
when you listen to the whole story, the way it was set up, and then you get that one officer that goes down. Now, could he have been like a Hell's Angel? I don't want to say the word sympathizer, but
Well,
maybe
that's a proper word.
a friend of somebody, a
Yeah.
sympathizer, whatever, and just said, "Hey, man, I'm just letting you know you got a problem going on down there." Or it could have been FBI grabbed him. "Hey, go let the Hells Angels know that because
It's going
we have
on."
the whole place surrounded."
Right.
They probably didn't think it was going to go as bad as it
Well, it
did.
kicked off, man. You
And
saw the tapes.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And, this is interesting. You use the term sympathizer. I'll tell you another example. In 2001, not quite, 2000, I get a message from some guy comes to the ink house and says, "Can I talk to you?" And I take a walk with him, and he goes, we walk up the street, and he goes, "I just want you to know my wife works for the district attorney's office, and there's a bug in the entrance of your door, because we used to stand out by the front door and talk. We'd
Yeah.
walk out of the shop thinking it was safe, so they bugged the front, the little awning and
Of
and
course.
everything. Yeah, and
That's
so,
what they did to Gotti too.
So there are people out there that sympathize, whether it's with the cause or they don't like the tactics that particular law enforcement units using. You know, it's just like we were talking off camera. You know, certain people don't want you saying a thing. You know, it's like
Right.
like I've been condemned by a lot of people. Oh, you're giving shit up. Well, you know what? The people I talk about are mostly dead, and nobody's going to jail.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. and
That's
it-
what I said. That's what I said to you out there.
Yeah.
Same thing with me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of the stories I tell, these guys aren't around anymore.
Right.
And
And you're not identifying them. What are they going to just pull a name out of thin air?
no.
Yeah.
Something happens 20 years ago, and I would say, in shy of murder, the statute of limitations, man, they're way beyond. You know?
Yeah.
Way beyond.
Well, we hopped right into this, but George, there's a lot. There's
We
a lot
got going, man.
No, and that's amazing.
It's
and I
probably
love
the
it.
coffee.
It's the coffee we got you going, and I'm excited for this conversation. But I want to take a step back.
Okay.
Longest serving chapter president, correct? In
Yeah,
Hells Angels history.
maybe not by now. I've been out a few years,
But 30 some odd years
yeah,
you
33 years. My son, the mathematician, says 33 exact years.
were
He's got
33
it all.
and
I
change.
showed you his stuff. earlier.
Unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm so curious because I think there's a lot of misconceptions, especially state trooper and just myself as an innocent bystander, of the Hells Angels origin, like reasons why you guys were created, what you guys actually stand for, what you guys do. So if you can just give us some background on like why did the Hells Angels start, what was their intention, and what did you guys kind of, I guess, for one reason or the other, become and form into?
Well, I think that at the end of World War II, you've got people from the Pacific Theater, people from the European theater returning home. These guys are veterans, perhaps suffering from undiagnosed PTSD. I mean, God only knows.
100%.
They come back, their whole life's changed. You know, their girlfriends have moved on. Perhaps their wives have moved on. You know, parents have died. They've got no place to go. These guys start grouping together in little groups. Now, you got to understand, back in those days, you probably buy a motorcycle for $70, $80. Great form of transportation. And you've got that camaraderie, man. You're riding with your friends. You're used to that juice, man. You know, that type of lifestyle. I mean, these guys are coming out of combat situations.
The brotherhood.
Yeah.
Fighting for the guy next to you.
You don't know if you're going to be alive by the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning, you go, okay, another day, man. Am I going to be here at the end of the day? You just don't know that. Like, these guys start grouping up and they start making these different clubs, you know, the Booze Fighters, the Galloping Goose, the Pissed Off Bastards, the 13 Rebels. I think I said Galloping Goose. I don't want to leave anybody out because when I do this, if I leave somebody out, I always get a letter. Hey, man, you didn't mention us. You know, so hopefully I covered everybody.
Yeah.
But the birth of the outlaw motorcycle movement, I consider it happening at Hollister because that's the first time, at least in the West Coast, there was notoriety and coverage on it. The San Francisco Chronicle heard there was an event in Hollister. They sent a guy down, took a bunch of photographs, really made a big deal out of nothing. I talked to one of the original Galloping Gooses that was there the day of Hollister, and I I'm a young kid. I'm in my 20s, and this guy was Tom Noel. We used to call him the Old Goose. And I said, hey, Tom, can I ask you a question? You know, I'm like, I want to talk to this guy, man. He's been around. I said, what was it like at Hollister? He goes, that's all bullshit, man. He goes, we went up there, drank a few beers, ran a few races, and came home. He goes, that was it. Well, they put it out across the United States on Associated Press, The Wire. Riot at Hollister. You know, they took the pictures, they put it out. The American Motorcycle Association is confronted by the San Francisco Chronicle, and they say, well, what happened in Hollister? And they go, well, only 1% ruined it for the wholesome riders.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And people embrace that. They go, yeah, that's right. We're the 1%. And, here's these veterans that came back. They got a new title now. They're the one percenters, man, and they embrace that. And I not initially, but by the end of the 50s, people are starting to wear those one percenter badges on their jackets. The
Got it.
Hells Angels have formed. The Pissed Off Bastards split. The Hells Angels have formed now, and you've got these little motorcycle groups in Southern California and Northern California. That's the way I tell a story because I'm a Southern California boy.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to somebody from Chicago, they're gonna probably.
We're
tell
not going
a
to
little
hold that
bit.
against you.
You're not going to hold it against
that
me.
you're from California.
Okay, I appreciate
no,
that.
No, that's
you know?
okay.
You're not going to tax me either.
Nope.
No.
You're taxed enough.
That was good.
Yeah.
So
Now, weren't there the did you say the booze runners?
The Boost Fighters.
The booze fighters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I always
Yeah.
say runners. Okay.
you're young at this point. You're 20
I'm
some
in my
years old.
20s.
And what inspired you to get involved?
In 1955, 56, I don't know the exact date, I'm standing on a street corner in the San Fernando Valley with my father. My father's talking to, my dad's a restaurateur guy. He goes out and checks other restaurants out. And he's standing there talking to this Italian guy. He's got an Italian restaurant. We just had dinner in it. And we're standing down on the street corner. And off in the distance, man, you hear this rumble. And it's this guy coming up on his motorcycle. And when he gets to the stoplight, he stops. And he pushes his sunglasses. I mean, I can see this like a video. He pushes his glasses up on his head. And there's this distinct noise that I didn't know what it was. But later, when I start riding bikes, I become familiar with the sound. It's the clutch basket rattling, all the bearings in the clutch basket. And he's revving his pipes. And he's got a cut on. I don't know what it said. The light changes. Bam! He's through the intersection. And all the people, everybody just stopped, man. The guy talking to my dad's got this thick Italian accent. And he just starts screaming. He looks at me and he goes, "Hey, look at him. He's an animal." And then he says to me, I swear to God, he goes, "That's your America." And he spit on the ground. And I thought to myself, that is my America, man. And from that point on, man, I wanted to be an outlaw biker. And that cemented it for me. And
Wow.
Wow.
In 1966, I got my first motorcycle. I just come home from Marine Corps boot camp, and I'm looking for some fun, man.
What was your first? A Panhead?
A 1957 Panhead. The whole bike was $200.
Wow.
Now, is that
You can't even get a
expensive?
bike service for $200.
What a bike that must have been.
Is that expensive for the time, or that's an average?
No, that's an average price.
Yeah.
You got to figure that's a complete form of transportation
It's great.
for $200, man.
Are some of these guys riding around in thousands of dollars worth of stuff? Like, are some of these bikes just insane?
Well, nowadays, I mean,
But back in the day,
well, they were insane in their not in their price range because everybody was motorcycle tramps. Man, we were broke,
right?
But the things they did to them, back then, you could not go to a catalog. Oh, I want to get a fancy Packer bar.
Now, were you a former Marine?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. 0311 rifleman.
Wow.
I belong to a reserve rifle unit, Marine rifle unit.
Thanks for your service.
Oh, thank you. And you, military?
No.
No. Well, the guys that do that, and there's still something. I have a good friend that's a SEAL, and I mean, guy's got PTSD. He's got 8 tours of duty overseas to Iraq.
That's something that really needs to be.
They need to address it.
It
Man.
needs to be
You know what?
addressed in law enforcement,
Yeah.
military, and
Now, I
fire
don't know
and
if this
everything
is
else.
true. I understand before you go on a mission, like if you're a SEAL or a special unit, they give you a psychological evaluation. I don't think they do anything when you come back. And
That's interesting.
I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
I would. I'm not a doctor. I'm not active. I don't know what's going on. And,
You know what the whole thing is, though? Like, when I had some problems, and they evaluate you, you basically answer the way that you'll be okay,
right.
and that's it.
And you get
Because
through it.
don't, yeah, 'cause
You don't want to
just-
get pulled.
You don't want to get pulled.
Right.
You don't want to. And the whole thing when Johnny told me that you were going to be on, that I was like really like pulled into this whole thing for was the commonality is the brotherhood,
It is.
and that's the common thread through this whole thing.
Yeah,
It's the brotherhood.
it's the outlaw motorcycle, I would say they're military, structured in a military manner, probably the least disciplined of that whole, pyramid. You've got law enforcement, active duty people. I think active duty and police department, they're structured very tight.
Right.
You know, chain of command,
Yeah.
code of conduct, and all that stuff. And as it goes down, and this is not a derogatory remark to the outlaw culture. I lived in it my whole life. Still feel I live in it. Perhaps I'm looking afar. Now I'm almost 80 years old, but it was all birthed in the military.
Yeah.
It's got a structure to it,
Right.
and a chain of command, and it. Even living, like you talk about, undiagnosed PTSD. I mean, somebody living in an outlaw culture for decades, they're going to have some form of stress.
Of course.
Yeah, you know what it's like to launch an investigation on somebody, and you know the pressure they can put on the target.
Sure.
I mean, it's very much pressure. Let me give you a perfect example. In 2007, there was a firebombing at 2 tattoo shops in Ventura. They held me responsible for it. They couldn't prove anything, but they held me responsible for it. Now, 2011, I decided to leave the club for personal reasons. I didn't like the direction the club was heading, and I felt if I was going to be true to myself as an outlaw, I would have to walk away. I get indicted. The police think, well, man, this guy's ready to work with us. He's going to spill his guts.
Yeah, sure.
And I held my ground. I didn't do it. Told them they said, there's a hit on you. You know this. You know that. I said, look, I'll take my chances on the street. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and change ship now. So 2011, 2013, my daughter's a criminal attorney. A good one, I might add. She resolves the
How could
the
she
case.
not be?
Exactly. She resolves the case. They drop off counts 6, 7, and 8 that are the mandatory minimums of life. Serious charges, and I wind up accepting a deal for 0 to 5 years. I don't know what I'm going to get. That's the terms. They dropped all the other stuff. I get 0 to 5 years. Interfering with interstate transportation is which I don't know how she worked that out.
Right.
Conspiracy and interfering with interstate transportation. So I wound up getting 1 year, 1 day. I go to prison in Texas. I come home. It's now 2015. I still have 3 years of parole or probation, whatever you want to call it. So now you're looking at in 2007, they first started investigating me. It's now 2018, and I've just completed my probation. That's 11-year span. I was under investigation, indicted, went to court, went to prison, and now I've completed my probation terms. That's 11 friggin' years out of my life. And you know what it's like.
That's balls of steel because so personally, I was involved in something that the head of the state police, I was told, dude, he wants you to go to federal prison.
Oh, they were after you. They were on you.
They were after me.
They probably didn't like your attitude or something.
No, it was something I did.
Oh, okay. Don't confess on the air.
No. It was something I did, but like you and I spoke about before,
Yeah.
It was in the parameters of what I was trained to do.
Exactly.
But they didn't like the way I did
it. Exactly.
So he wanted me put in federal prison. He called, and that's why when you said 1%ers, I kind of smiled because he deemed the name 10%. He said 10% of the road troopers on the state police are pirates and parasites. Well, with that, everybody's wearing these shirts that say 10% are on them. It's a skull with cross guns. You're a 10%er. You're one of the guys that'll go do what needs to be done, and the rest of the guys go enjoy your career.
They're just doing their job.
Yeah.
Who said this to you?
This was the head of the state police, the colonel of the state police.
He said 10% of you are
He
parasites.
said 10% of you were pirates and parasites.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. It was about 250 of us, 300 of us.
When you say of us, though, like who got classified in this pirates and parasites group?
So the troopers that were, back then, the troopers that were hands-on, that weren't afraid to get hands-on.
The 1%ers.
Yes. You
turned into the 10%.
You were called this 10. So we were like, we're like these guys.
So, but they let you,
1%,
they let
we're
you know.
10%.
They let you know
They let us know
that you were part of this.
That you were part of this. And basically from then on, anything you did, but for some reason, the one incident that happened with me, he dialed in on. He just became colonel. Of course, man.
Well, he may have not liked the way you responded to him. You may have acted like cavalier about it. Like,
I was very cavalier
and
about
he
it.
probably said, "Hey, you know what,
Because
man?
all I kept
I'm going to
saying,
make you my special project."
all I kept saying was, I did what I was trained to do. And if you didn't like the way I did it, that's not my problem. But I'm going to do what I'm trained to do. And it was, there you go.
That's the
whole 10%er thing.
Wow,
that's pretty badass.
So I mean,
is that a coin?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get it to you. So it was like this thing, but what happened was just like what you said, how they embraced it. The guys that were like that, we were like,
yeah, that's right.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Yeah,
and we'll do what needs to be done. But when you're under investigation, it was like 2 years of holy shit. Did I have my phone bugged? Right?
It's
Holy
the
shit.
day I get the indictment.
Yeah. Holy shit, can I talk? Holy shit, can I? And the pressure that you're under is monumental. I can't. Now, mine was small potatoes compared to, I was going to federal prison where I would have ate good and everything else. It wouldn't have been bad. But for
it's
you.
not as good as it used to be.
No, but
what do you think changed?
But for you, forget
Population.
Just too many people.
Too many people, man.
Yeah. What?
I got to Texas.
Martha Stewart was in federal prison making pies for everybody.
I got to federal prison in Texas, and I was in a 2-man cell. They had 6 people in it, piled high. The beds, 3 high.
Oh my God.
The banditos who were supposed to be our enemies from time to time ran that prison for the biker population, and when I got there. So I got the judge to let me self-surrender. I said, let my lawyer drive me to prison in Texas. And he goes, okay. So my lawyer, James Devine, drove me to Texas. I got there, and I start to introduce myself, and they're in the guard tower, and they go, we know who you are, man. They go, follow that line, So I'm following the line. And I get there, and there's a black lieutenant waiting for me. He turns out he's really cool, dude. He goes, come on in, Miss Christie, and then he goes, look, I got to have you remove your stuff. I got to take all your tattoo pictures and all that shit, and I got to get you geared out here. And then he takes me in the room, and he goes, the banditos are out there waiting for you. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, they're out there. There's a few of them out there waiting. They know the word, He goes, you know how it works. He goes, they know you're here.
Yeah, they know.
And they're waiting for you. And he goes, do you want to lock up? I go, fuck, no, I'm not locking up. I go, take me out there. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, take me out there. And he goes, okay, well, I'm going with you. And so he gets a few steps behind me, and I walk out there, and he's very tense. And there's a guy out there running things. He's a bandito leader. I've known him for 30 years. And he sees me, man. He runs up, jumps on me. Hey, man, we've been waiting for you. And then, the guards going, whoa, what's going on here? And then all the banditos introduce themselves. I knew 2 of them out of the group. And he goes, you're staying with me, man. He goes, I got a bed for you. He kicked the dude out of the bed and gave me the bottom bunks. So we celled up the whole time we were there. I was there. He was still there when I left. But it's a different animal now. The food's not as good. It's overcrowded. There never used to be limited gang violence in federal prison. Right before I got there, two cartel groups were fighting it out for control of the Mexican population. They killed 5 guys simultaneously on the yard. They were so mad at one of the guys, they lit him on fire.
Wow.
And
That's mad.
After they killed him, they lit him on fire. And so they make a big shakeup, and they bring a little woman in, and she's the new warden. But she's a trip, man. She's in the chow hall every day. She's got a big guard standing next to her, and she's there for you to come and complain to her if you got a problem. And you can walk right up, ask permission to talk to her, and you can voice your anger at her.
Yeah, but it's, you know what, though? It's business.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
And that's the way she ran it. It was
But that's the way it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be like this whole...
Personal.
Like the way the movies show it sometimes,
Yeah. It is a business. It's a huge business. And the private prisons are worse than the federal prisons run by the government. They say the private prisons are the end of the line, man. In the federal system. Yeah, they're terrible.
How does one determine if you are to go to federal versus...
I think it depends on who you are. I think there was no way the Bureau of Prisons was letting me out of their grasp.
They wanted you. Okay.
They wanted me, and they sent me. Like, we petitioned to go to Terminal Island in Southern California, but part of the punishment is they want
making you uncomfortable.
Yeah, they sent me to Texas.
Of course,
that's
punishment.
Yeah,
right?
it's part of the punishment.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you look at it from a penal sense, like if you were studying the penal system, the only day you're really supposed to get punished is the day you're sentenced.
Right.
You're punished that day. You're punished.
Sure.
You're going to do this amount of time, and then the punishment should end. The rest of it shouldn't be where you're being punished. You're giving the government back. It's weights and measures. You're giving them.
You're doing your time.
You're doing your time.
Yeah, you're doing your time for whatever you were, convicted.
Yeah. I've given lectures for corporations before, and some of the people you can tell are suspect. I come up there. Yeah, I'm a multiple felon. Yes, I was a Hell's Angel leader. Yes, I rode with the Hell's Angels for 40 years, and I see that I'm losing them, or they're kind of looking at me suspect. I say, listen, this judicial system in this country is weights and measures. And I said, I'm even. I'm back here. I'm just like you now.
Right.
I'm even. I don't owe
And
anything.
if they can't accept that, they're a narrow-minded idiot.
Yeah, and it's on them. They shouldn't be in a position where they've got corporate power.
Right.
Because they're fucking up the country.
Right.
How was your time in the Texas federal prison?
It's being a Hell's Angel in prison is like being a mob guy or being a ranking member of the Aryan Brotherhood or the Mexican Mafia. You have carte blanche. You have cachet when you come in there. People don't bother you. When I went to Terminal Island in 1986, that was my first arrest. Had no criminal record. Never spent a night in jail prior to that. I get there and I go to receiving. I do everything, fingerprints, pictures, all that stuff. And then they open the door up and there's a sally port. And you walk in there and then they close the door and it's empty. So you're waiting there for the prison door to open. So I'm waiting there. I don't know what's going to transpire. Now, keep in mind, I had carried the torch in the Olympics.
I saw that.
Yeah, the feds were saying we were going to disrupt the Olympics. So I said, let's get ahead of the narrative. Let's participate in the Olympics. I said, we'll participate by carrying the torch. We'll tell the public, we're not going to disrupt the Olympics. In fact, we're going to participate in the Olympics. And that's what we did. So when I got there, they opened the sally port. There's like 100 prisoners there. And there's a guy there, Hell's Angel from San Diego, Guy Castiglione, and he's a very powerful Hell's Angel. And he looks at me and he says, looks like that torch finally went out. And we all start laughing. And, that's how I was greeted into the prison. And I was like a celebrity in there.
Wow.
And, they had a cell for me. They had clothes for me. And it's like, I said to Guy, I go, what's going on in here? And he goes, look, man, just relax. He goes, we got a cell for you. There's a box in there with all your clothes. There's food in the box. And he goes, whatever you do, man. He goes, don't wake me up. I don't get up till after 10 on Saturdays. Because I come down there on a Friday night.
All right.
I said, okay, man. And, that was my first experience in prison. And in the morning, I'll never forget this. I can still, on Saturday morning, I can still smell the cinnamon rolls. And this is the golden age of Club Fed, if you will. You get a brunch from 7 to 9:30, I think it is, and giant cinnamon rolls. And they have coffee, white milk, chocolate milk, tea, 6 kinds of drinks, whatever. And then you eat your cinnamon roll, drink your coffee or whatever. You go back out in the yard. And then at 11:30, brunch starts. And then you go back into the chow hall. And you go up to the chow line, and they got the chefs there on the grills. And you get eggs to order. And you say, I'd like 4 scrambled eggs. Can you give me a cheese omelet? 3 eggs sunny side up.
It doesn't sound so bad.
This sounds pretty good.
And so
You would like it.
Yeah.
and so you're eating like a king. So that night, for instance, you might get, I'm just going to do an example, 2 pork chops. You get a vegetable, potatoes of some sort. Then you go over to the salad bar. They have a salad bar that makes some restaurants should be ashamed compared to the federal salad bar. And then you've got your array of drinks again.
But it's it's
Club,
federal.
Club Fed.
Yeah,
Club
of course.
Fed.
So
Club Fed.
now I
This
go.
is
Now
wild.
it's now 2013. I'm in Texas, and there's small portions of food. The chow hall is packed.
Is this still federal prison?
It's still federal prison, but
It's a different
changed.
one.
It's a different
Yeah,
federal
it's a
prison, man.
different
It's like
one.
you were saying. Well, at least I'm going in the feds. I'm going. It ain't much better than the state now. It's complete. It's a complete turnaround because it's overpopulated. We have a population in prison that's probably larger than any country in the world. I think.
I think it is one of the biggest.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just, and here's another interesting thing to think about. Back in the 80s, if somebody 70s, if you had somebody that went to prison in your family, was kind of a black sheep. Now everybody's
They went to college.
yeah. Now everybody
That's what we said with
went
Italians.
to college, but
They
now
went to college.
everybody's got somebody in their family that's gone to prison somewhere somehow because of the war on drugs, whatever you want to call it. You know, the whole dynamics has changed, and also the institution of private prisons. I mean, these are money making.
It's a business.
It's a money making business, man. You
Sure.
know, they need to fill. If they're going to have these private prisons, they need to fill them. If they can't fill them, the corporations won't fund them because they can't survive.
Now, you went to prison 3 times,
Yes,
3 separate counts.
86 to 87, 2001 to 2002. I was either 2013 or I came home, I think 2014 or 2015. I was there in the year change.
Okay. So we'll get, because I have questions about those. We'll get into that. But what was your initiation like to get into the Hells Angels
Well,
at first?
despite what people think, there is no initiation. I'll tell you what happened. The day I got voted in the club, my mentor and my sponsor was Old Man John. He was the leader of the Los Angeles Hells Angels. He was like old when I came around the club. I was in my 20s. I mean, I go, this guy's old, man. Maybe he was 60. I don't know,
Yeah,
65.
50, 60.
Don't seem so old anymore.
Yeah, it's not old anymore.
So I'm standing outside. It's a dead of winter. It's December 26th. And we've got the fire going, man. Compared to New York, it's nothing. The California boys got it easy.
No kidding.
Like I went out last night, man. It was cold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
Welcome to New Jersey.
Yeah, I hear you. So, Old Man John steps out on the deck of the clubhouse in the Glendale clubhouse down in Los Angeles, and he opens the door, and it's like a big radiating light. Then he steps into the door, and all the light's gone because he's so big. And he yells, "Christie, get your ass in here!" And I look at the other guys. I go, "This is it, man. I know I'm getting voted in the club." So I run in, and the room's full of Hell's Angels. They're all like eyeballing me, checking me. I was probably like you as a new officer.
Yeah,
you
of
go into the
course.
squad room, man.
The new guy.
Who is this guy? You know,
Yeah.
what's he made of?
Yeah.
And they're all eyeballing me. Now, technically, I've already been voted in the club, so I'm a member, but I don't know it yet. So, old man John, he says, "So, do you think you're ready for this?" And I can't even say anything. I'm so excited, man. I can't get nothing out, and I squeak out, "Yes," and he's looking at me, and he goes, "Your whole world's going to change now." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We come first." He goes, "Your family, your wife, your mother, your father, everybody," he goes, "they're second to us. We are now your family. If we call you, you come. Do you understand that?" And he goes, "Do you understand that?" And I said, "Yes," again, and old man John looks at me and he goes, "You don't fucking understand nothing." He goes, "But you're going to learn." And, then there's two Pauls in the club. There's small Paul and tall Paul. And he tells tall Paul, he goes, "Throw him a patch." And, Paul throws me the patch. And it's like I catch it and I extend it and I look at it and there's the Hell's Angels.
Yeah.
And then there's a
sure.
death head. And it's almost like the death head's looking at me, man. I mean, this is the imagination of a young kid, like so excited.
Yeah,
Never
of
this,
course.
it's like Christmas, man. And it looks like it's breathing and looking at me. And the old man says, "Well," he wants me to put it on. So I put it on, and there's there's like a window. It's not a mirror, but there's a window there, man. And I'm looking at myself. How cool I look, man.
But of course.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
trying to
why
look at
not?
the back, and I'm trying to be cool. And everybody's watching me, and I got so excited. I run at John, and what does John do? Socks me right in the solar plex.
Of
man.
course.
Yeah, he hits me, and he goes, "Stupid." He goes, "Don't ever let your guard down." He goes, "You're a Hell's Angel now." And that's the last time I let my guard down with anybody. And he was my mentor. He was everything to me. That night we rode out to San Bernardino. There's a little old woman out there named Betty that used to hand make the patches. And if you were lucky enough and you lived close enough, she would sew it on your Levite vest. And I went out there and she sewed my patch on my vest, put it on, gave Tall Paul the other vest back that he let me borrow. And I remember there was like a foyer, is that what they call them, as you enter the...
Yeah.
And you waited out there as she sewed the patch on, and she had two rules: no smoking and no cussing. And we waited out there very quietly, and then she did my patch. I put my patch on, and she said, "And remember, no speeding down the street." So we jumped on our bikes, kicked them up, we were revving them, and I got about 300 or 400 feet. Man, I just opened it up. I couldn't hold back
Yeah,
anymore.
of course.
Yeah, and we took off,
course.
went back to L.A., partied. A couple of days later, it's New Year's. Went up to Oakland. Started using. I worked for the government at the time. I worked for the Department of Defense. I was a communications troubleshooter expert, and used all my vacation time. I started using my sick leave, my vacation.
Sure.
Time. Went up there and partied for a good week, and it was just I was in a whole new world, man. I was like a kid that just joined the circus, man.
Yeah.
And my act was riding my motorcycle with my Hell's Angel patch on, man.
So, right, and that all makes sense. Other than riding and partying, like, what are your jobs and responsibilities as a Hell's Angel?
Well, it starts off slow because they only want you to eat what you can digest.
Yeah.
And, little by little, you're indoctrinated to more and more stuff. And, I'm not going to get into specific stuff. I don't, when you're at war with another bike club, what's transpiring. People are in jeopardy.
War is war.
War is war. And, the people that have been in it, is this a war, a traditional war? No, it's urban warfare is what transpires. And, I've had veterans like write me and go, quit calling it war. Well, you know what, man? It is war. And I don't care if you're in overseas someplace or if you're in Southern California.
No, it's urban war.
Yeah, or
I
if you're
agree.
in New York, it's a war. It's an urban war. But you're subjected to more and more, and they only give you what, a good leader only gives you what you can handle. And I'll tell you, one of the things I learned and observed as a leader is when somebody fucked up, I didn't blame them. I blamed myself for giving them too much responsibility. When somebody ratted on me, yeah, I called them a fucking rat, but I looked at myself and like, man, you really misjudged this guy. I was more mad at myself than I was at them for misjudging what they could withhold or withstand. But you have to understand, as things progressed in the club, where somebody would get an 18-month sentence, perhaps now it's 15, 20 years later, and you would know this as a law enforcement officer, now they're getting 20 years to 30 years.
Yeah.
The dynamics of everything change. So somebody that was saying, yeah, I can do 18 months standing on my head, now the feds go, you want to do fucking 40 years? And Christie sits at home in his $1 million house. You got people start weighing out the situation. They're going, I don't know if I want to do this. They rat you out.
Now, how is the organization organized? Like, is it a tier-based system, kind of like how the mafias ran, or?
Well,
it seems to be more.
The money doesn't go upward.
Okay.
If people are doing something, then, and this is what I tell people, and I've said it since the beginning. I'm no longer in the club, but I continue to say it. And the Hells Angels are not a criminal organization, but they're an organization that has criminals in it. And now, as the dynamics change, there seems to be more criminals in it than there were in the beginning. But perhaps that may just be law enforcement's getting better at prosecuting us. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not a criminal organization. I've always taken that posture, and I continue to take that posture because I haven't seen the club restructure. The feds have never been successful indicting us with racketeering charges. The last time a big racketeering trial was in 1979, and there was a young U.S. attorney who came after us. And do you know who that guy was? It was Mueller, same guy that went after Trump. So what you have is a young, zealous prosecutor who realizes,
very ambitious,
and he realizes this racketeering is not going to work on these guys. These guys are autonomous. They don't answer criminally to anybody. And I'm going to use the term cartel. There's small cartels within the club that do illegal acts, but they don't bring them to the meeting. If you start talking criminal activity in a meeting, probably get touched up and get your ass kicked out of the meeting. Can
you explain a little more of that, like how each chapter or charter are almost siloed? You don't necessarily have a say of what this other charter does and vice versa.
Well, that's exactly the way it is. But what happens is you have a monthly West Coast officers meeting, and that's where people are disciplined. Hey, if the guys in Bronco City are getting out of hand, stealing old people's Social Security checks, we're going to put them in check. Hey man, we're not accepting that, and they either get in check or they get checked. So
there is a meeting of the minds almost. Of
there
like,
is,
hey, that's
but
all.
And what happens is we don't have, like, people think of a leader in the Hells Angels. They think about Sonny Barger.
Right.
Sonny Barger was the face and the voice of the Hells Angels. In 1957, a gentleman named Boots, along with Sonny Barger and other individuals, started the Oakland Hells Angels. Boots was the first president in Oakland. Boots stepped out of the club, drifted off to where I don't know. Sonny took over. Sonny was very, very ambitious. But what people don't realize and what people need to realize is the club had existed a decade when Sonny got in the club. Sonny did not start the club. People think that's a misconception. So Sonny takes the power base that's in Southern California, that's where the club started, and he pulls it up to the Bay Area. This is how strategic he is. This is how charismatic he is. He's a very charismatic guy.
Marketing
Yeah,
genius.
And he brings
Yep.
it up north.
You got to give it to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He really
And-
was.
And him and I had a love-hate relationship. At times we loved each other. Times I hated him. He hated me. Sometimes it was mutual at the same time. I was one of the few individuals, and I guess I'm patting myself on the back, but I would call him on his shit. If I thought he was wrong, I'd say, no, that's not good for the club. And he took exception to it. And
Yeah, but you took club over everything.
the club belonged,
Right.
Sonny thought the club belonged to him.
Right.
I felt I belonged to the club.
Well, the way you came in, the way you just explained,
Right.
that shows that you took club overall.
Right.
Right.
The club came first. I mean,
Yeah.
now, Sonny pulls the power up there, and before you know it, Sonny's dictating everything that's happening. Now, he's not an official leader. He doesn't hold the title of International Hells Angel leader. But what does he become? He becomes a de facto leader. The people like that, men like that, it's structured like that. They want a leader. They want someone to look to for guidance and whatnot. And Sonny became a father figure for a lot of displaced individuals.
Yeah.
And there's
Heavy
no-
is the crown, though.
It is, yeah.
Right.
I mean, he suffered. He's the tenacity on that guy. He got cancer in 1982.
And he beat it.
He took him he died of cancer ultimately.
He died. They said he was dead.
They said they gave him a few weeks to live.
Yeah,
When he turned
and
the
he
club
beat it.
over to Irish and I, Irish became the spokesman for the Northern California. I became the spokesman for Southern California. This was, at Sonny's behest. He said, okay, I'm going to give you guys this. Irish and I were very close. We were both Los Angeles Hells Angels. We used to joke privately that it took two of us to replace Sonny. It was a joke, but it was, there was some truth
It's a
to
big
it.
personality.
Yeah. And
He really was.
he was. And he turned the club over to us thinking he would die. And this is where the rift starts between Sonny and I, and perhaps even Irish. But not with me and Irish, but with, I don't know what happened. But Irish is dead now. He was murdered.
Yeah.
But Sonny turns everything over to us, and something interesting happens. He doesn't die. So when you relinquish your power, you've been in a structured organization, you relinquish that power.
Right.
The question is, how do you get it back? It's very difficult. It's very
Hard to get
elusive.
it back.
Now, when you say his power, what was he relinquishing to you at this point?
I, along with Irish, became the voice of the Hells Angels, as well as the face.
head. They
but
became the
you
head
didn't. He didn't give
guys.
you a title per se because you were already the president of
No, the title he gave me
what?
was being a voice for the club. I was now the go-to guy. People would call Sonny. If Irish wasn't around, he'd say, call George. Or if he thought maybe I was better suited for this particular response, he'd say, call George Christie at the Ventura Clubhouse.
But you were already the
I was
president.
the president of Los Angeles and then president of the Ventura Hells Angels.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is more of just like a subjective role that he's allowing you to now play.
He created that role.
Okay, that's
he
what I'm
made
trying- yeah,
himself
got
that
it,
role.
got it.
He developed that role.
Right.
He created it. He nurtured it. And then there was nobody to replace him because he got cancer.
'Cause he had got
So
cancer.
what he did as a leader, he made the decision, I'm going to give it to Irish and I'm going to give it to Christie.
It's just
and I
interesting-
think he thought that, and I'm saying this, I'm speculating, and I don't mean any disrespect. This is just a natural human instinct. I think he thought he would still have influence.
He thought he was dying.
Yes, he thought he was dying, but I
Yeah.
think he thought he would have the influence till he was gone. We would do his
Well, and you
yeah,
guys would pass on his.
exactly.
Yes.
It is interesting though that you guys didn't establish like an actual hierarchical.
And that's why the
Tier
feds.
system.
That's why the feds couldn't get us.
Is that why you guys stayed the way you
Yeah,
were?
Harry Taco Bowman, leader of the Outlaws. You look it up. You can read about it. United States of America versus Harry Bowman, and in there you'll read about him deciding, should I kill Sonny or should I kill George? Ultimately he decides he's going to kill me. But
Didn't work, by the way.
No, it did not work.
You're still here.
I'm still here. But
Thank God.
they got Taco for racketeering. They never put a gun in Taco's hand. They never got Taco killing anybody. But Taco's
said it.
subordinates.
He said it.
He said it. Taco's subordinates, because he was the boss. These guys died. Did Taco tell you to do it? Yeah. Taco told me to do it. I mean, they wanted to get out of jail free card. He was a get out of jail free card for these guys.
So this is a strategy more than anything for you guys.
Yes.
To stay siloed, and then
Yes.
you really can't get in trouble for any sort of racketeering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of it we stumbled into it. Perhaps
You didn't realize it was. And like, wait,
we didn't
it's a
realize, but
loophole.
we found out. I
Understood.
think on a subconscious level, we're thinking, how do we beat this?
Yeah, but if you
that's so
insulate
interesting.
yourself from the crime,
Right.
and your lawyer daughter, I'm sure, said, hey,
Yeah.
insulate yourself from the crime, and
I'll tell you a funny story. I don't think I've ever said this before publicly.
say it now.
Yeah, my daughter, after the 2001, we got this investigation going on. My son gets busted along with several other Ventura Hells Angels. I don't know if you even know of this case, with 1 million Vicodin. They, one of their high school buddies becomes an airman in the Air Force,
Oh boy.
and he works in the pharmacy.
Oh,
So
that's a problem.
he comes back to town and goes. He gets a hold of Georgie and Vinny and a couple of his other friends. And goes, hey, guess what? I have access to 1 million Vicodin. Well, who's in charge? I'm in charge.
Oh my God.
So he starts smuggling these Vicodin out. Within 6 months, they've got 1 million Vicodin. So they all get busted. I get indicted with them because I'm the boss. They're going to try that racketeering thing, state racketeering. And ultimately, it didn't work. But it's funny because my tattoo shop was under my daughter's law office. She had the whole floor of 13 offices in it, full of people working. And I got a couple of funny stories about that. So after the indictments come down, the search warrants come down. We know the indictment hadn't come yet. I misspoke myself. The indictment's coming. She says, you and me take a walk. I'm going, oh, shit. That's what
now you're in trouble.
I'm supposed to say that to you,
Right.
So we go downstairs and we're walking and she looks at me and she goes, when's this shit going to stop? And I go, what are you talking about? She says, don't give me that bullshit, And then, so I'm not going to tell you what the conversation was, but you can imagine. Use your imagination.
No, yeah.
So they've already raided the clubhouse, my house, a couple other places, Georgie's house. Now they want to raid my daughter's law office. So they show up there, the cops show up there, and a couple of things happened that day. Do you know what a special master is? And don't be embarrassed if you don't. 'Cause
No,
most people don't know what a special master is. If you get a search warrant from a judge for a law office, you have to take a judge with you. And that judge is called a special master. And the special master, they go, Your Honor, we want to search in here. Well, the judge goes in first and he looks through all the papers.
No shit.
Yeah.
I just learned something.
That's called a special master.
All right.
So
Johnny.
Now we know.
so now the cops are there. They're swarming through. They're tearing I have an office up in my daughter's law office because I'm the administrator.
Of course you
And they're
are.
pissed off about that. So I say I go, who's in charge here? And this guy, Joe Cipollini, I think was in charge. And they go, Cipollini's in charge. And I said, ask him to come here.
An Italian guy?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So Cipollini comes downstairs. I go, hey, Joe, I know this guy, first name basis, because he wrote me a speeding ticket when he was head of homicide. And so him and I had a pissing match for 14 months in the Ventura courts over a traffic ticket. I could get into that if you want to know. That was really funny.
Of course we do.
So I say to Cipollini, I go, I'd like to talk to the special master. And he's got another cop with him. And they look at each other. They don't know what a special master is.
I wouldn't know what it was either.
And the only reason I know what a special master is, one of my lawyers, Barry Tarlow, one of the top lawyers in the world, used to work for the prosecutors. He helped develop that law.
No shit.
So
I've never heard that
so
before in my life.
so they look at each other. I go, the special master, the judge that's supposed to be here and inspecting the stuff before you go through all those legal papers. So everything ceases and stops. They stop searching. Everybody comes out. They get the special master. They bring them, and then they go back in there. So now my daughter has she's not only a criminal lawyer, she has 2 or 3 lawyers in there doing personal injury cases. And she just settled a case. She's got close to $2 million in the bank account. And they find the bank book and they see the $2 million balance on the check things.
Oh, they're looking to seize it.
They're screaming and yelling, "We found it!" And they thought that was my money. I was run. When what had happened is, she had a client that went into a mobile gas station. He was a gang member, a really harsh-looking dude. The gas station attendant got scared and hit him in the head with a hammer. The guy hadn't even done anything. They had the whole thing on film. Hit him in the head with a hammer out of fear.
Oh, my God.
And so my daughter sued the oil company for this client. And she got so that was all the money from the case. And so then they research it and they find out it's all legitimate money.
Now, if they were to search her office without the special master, would they?
What perhaps would happen is that they broke attorney-client privilege. They may not be able to use that. But look, we didn't look at anything. We didn't get to it. I mean, who's going to?
Yeah.
But
now what if they found...
I had a police officer, that guy Cipollini. Let me jump back. This guy Cipollini, he was following me on the freeway. I just beat that murder case. It's 1987, 88 maybe. I'm going down the freeway. I'm going about 55, 65. That's when the speed limit was 55. And I don't know what year that was. I can't remember. It was across the nation.
Had to be a long time ago.
Yeah. So
65 now.
Yeah. So I'm going maybe, I am breaking the speed limit, but I'm going with the speed of traffic. Everybody's
You're in the
breaking
parameters.
So he pulls up next to me. And I know who he is, but I act like I don't know who he is. And he's doing this. He's showing me his badge. Now, in California,
that's weird.
It's very weird. To stop somebody, you have to have a siren
and lights. Yeah.
He didn't have that. He was it was one of the plainclothes cars.
I would never pull over. I wouldn't pull over.
I didn't pull over. I gave him the finger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. I would do the same thing.
So he's following me. He won't leave, and he keeps coming up. And I go, no, I'm not pulling over. And pretty soon he's behind me.
Call a marked car.
That's what he did. He called a marked car, pulled over.
Has to.
So he pulls me over. Why didn't you stop? And I go, I didn't know who you were. He goes, you knew who I was. And I go, yeah, but I wasn't sure.
No,
I'm
fuck
being a
that.
bullshit artist.
No, I agree with you.
And so the cop writes me a ticket. And so I'm being a smart ass. I said, are you coming to court or are you coming to court? And Cipollini goes, I'm coming to court. This is my ticket.
They both have to come to court, actually.
But you're going to love this. So now I'm a frustrated lawyer. I'm a wannabe lawyer. I'm working in my daughter's law office. I'm learning all this.
You're a shithouse lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay, George.
Yeah. So I write a discovery. This is what I want. I want all the radio transmissions. I want all this. Now we have cell phones. Just cell phones are just. I want all the cell phone records saved. I want to know how many tickets he's written as a homicide detective. I want to know the last time his car, the odometer, was read on. I just come up with all this. I'm thinking, this is what I do.
No, but you're right.
Yeah. And so I go into court and I submit that. And the district attorney makes a classic error. He thinks he's running the courtroom. And he goes, I'm not giving him any of this stuff he's asking for. And the judge just blows his top. He goes, since when are you running my courtroom? He goes, I'm granting Mr. Christie this. No, you can't have that. You get this, you get this, you get this. I had a long list of shit I wanted. And I wound up basically getting everything I asked for. And it was a 14-month ordeal. At the end of it, I get found guilty. and this is what the judge says. Listen, and he said, we need to send a message to society. He goes, and the message is law enforcement has to be trusted. We have to entrust them. He goes, you're an outlaw, Mr. Christie, by choice. You've made no bones about it. And he goes, I have to believe either you or the law enforcement officer. And he goes, I'm going to have to go with law enforcement because that's the way our country is structured. And I understood that. And I said, Your Honor, may I address the court? And he goes, yeah. And I said, we just spent 14 months fighting this case. And I want to tell you, I will come back every time that I get a ticket that's bogus, and I'll do the same thing. And it's going to cost you guys dearly. I said, because it's not costing me anything but time, and I got plenty of time. And I'll tell you something. That was the last ticket I ever got.
I believe it.
That was the last ticket I ever got.
This is all over a speeding ticket.
Yeah, this is over a speeding ticket. But that is the last ticket I got, man. And
That's amazing.
So the ordeal must have been worth something. I'd like to know what that judge said to the police officer and to the prosecutor in private.
Just do it the right way.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
That's all.
I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, I was going with the flow of traffic, man. I go, he could have pulled anybody over if he wanted to, if I was breaking the law. I don't even know how fast I was going. I didn't have a speedometer on my bike. You know, back then, you didn't run speedometers. You know,
Right.
We're riding choppers, man. Anyways, that's just a little, I got a million stories, man. And that's one of them. What was that series? There's a million stories, and this is just one of them.
Yeah.
What series was that?
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking
That's
about?
old, though.
I can't remember. Old school stuff.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the Mongols, and I know you guys were at war for a long time. Did you still are?
Yeah.
Did you guys initiate this war when Sonny was sick, or what was that?
The war, Sonny was in prison. Sonny was in prison when the war kicked off.
Okay.
And it's interesting because they were talking about holding Sonny's, I write about it in my new book. They were talking about holding Sonny's parole up because of all the murders in Southern California. The war had been going on 6 months, and there were 6 murders.
Holy shit.
And I mean, the police were getting a lot of pressure. You know?
But it kicked off with some.
You know what it's like when shit like that's going on?
Yeah.
The big boys are going, can you guys stop this?
What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
How come it's not done?
Right.
And,
Why isn't this over?
Right.
It kicked off with a pretty large fight, though. No.
It's kicked off with a fight at the one of the Orange County swap meets. It might have been the Great Western.
What is that? What's swap meet?
A swap meet is where people would bring motorcycle parts and sell them. It was something new in the 70s, and wasn't maybe. I'm suspect of the idea now, the concept, because people would come there with perhaps stolen motorcycle parts,
Maybe
selling them. They'd have a live band, and people were drinking beer that they sold there and bringing their own whiskey in.
right.
And it was a recipe for disaster.
So that was good for my business
Sure.
because when I pulled the guy over, like I said before, with his vest on,
Right.
the first thing I would say to him is, okay, I'm going to start running the serial numbers on all these parts on your bike.
Right.
And he would look at me and go, I'll just take the vest off.
Sure. And, and we talked about this earlier. I had always been told there's always been a mystique and rumor that you don't wear your patches in Jersey going through the freeway,
Right.
on the freeway.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you. I thought we're from California, man. The cops are used to us out there.
Yeah.
I thought it was bullshit until you told me that.
Yeah.
You kind of
No,
confirmed
it was a real thing.
Yeah.
It was just when you saw a guy with his colors on, you were like, well, that's weird because they don't do that.
They don't do that here. Yeah.
And you would.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've confronted East Coast members. I go, do you guys not wear your patches? And they go, we wear our patches everywhere, just like you guys.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's what they say.
Nah.
Now, if you found out, like you were talking to an East Coast rider, would you say to him? Would you?
Well, I would probably razz him a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'd figure if this guy came to Ventura and told me what to do, I'd tell him to stuff it,
Right.
So,
Sure.
I might say, hey, man, well, we don't do it that way in California, but that's as far as I'd take it. They're members and you have to respect them. It's like the first time I went to Europe, well, maybe the second time, I went to Amsterdam and we were fighting with the banditos and I had gone over there. We were having a meeting trying to resolve the shit. And I showed up in Amsterdam, and behind the immigration was probably 20 Hells Angels from Holland. They were from specifically Amsterdam. And the cops wanted to bust the balls of the Holland members. So I come walking up, and the cops they look at the Holland members and go, look, a real Hell's Angel from California. And they were so pissed. They weren't mad at me, but they were so mad at the cops. And I just told them to laugh it off, And
it's just
it's
I don't
rivalry.
know. I don't know how it happened in Jersey specifically, but when I got on the job in Jersey as a trooper, they go, look, the bikers don't wear their patches. You see a biker with his patch on, you tell him to take it off. And I was like you said, I was a young kid. I was 21 years old when I got on. First times I saw guys with patches on, I'm like, hey, I would go up, Jersey State Police, how you doing? I go, what are you wearing that for? And they would go, oh, shit, man. I just came from a meeting. I forgot.
Yeah.
They would take it and fold it up. It was never a problem. And I had one problem one time on the turnpike. I don't even know if you know this club. It was the Warlocks.
Sure. Yeah, I know that club.
Warlocks out of Jersey. And this was...
I think there's some serious guys in that club.
Very serious guys. And they actually killed a cop back in the 90s, I think it was. So it still was like a sore point with police.
Law enforcement, yeah.
I saw a Warlock rolling up the turnpike with his colors on. Pull this guy over, older guy. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to fight this old guy on the side of the road because
he ain't going to take it off.
He's giving me a lot of shit about this. And then I used exactly what you said. I go, all right. I go, listen, I'm just going to run the parts on your bike. Anything comes back stolen, you're getting locked up. He goes, oh, you're going to lock me up? Now, he was bigger than me, which most people are. And I'm like...
I have that same problem.
I'm like this. I'm like, I looked at him and I go, oh, yeah, I'm going to lock you up. I go, so how are we going to do this? He took it off, folded it up, put it away. And, it was fine. It was just like, holy shit.
How did you feel about that? Did you feel empowered or was it just a job to you?
I didn't feel empowered at all.
Right.
I just felt like, to me, it was a respect thing.
Right.
Like, I get it. You guys do what you do. We do what we do. I don't want to break your balls, but it was like a rule.
You see that's
to me, it was more like it was a rule.
See, when police officers don't make it personal, you can pick the vibe up, man. And people go, okay, this guy's doing his job.
No, I just looked at it totally. It's just again business.
Right. But when the cops start making it personal, I used to, locally there in Southern California, when the cop was over the top, I go, "You're working overtime, man," and that was my inference to him. Come on, man, lighten up. You're the only guy.
It's business.
Yeah. This is just business. You come after me. I respect that. I understand you're going to come after me, but don't make it personal, man.
How was the overall relationship between the LAPD and you guys?
LAPD, I got to be honest with you, it's such a big force. You didn't have a relationship with them, really. We came up to Ventura, and there was a period of time, I don't know, man, the force was really small. I think the largest it was in the 70s is 25 officers.
Yeah,
Wasn't
Ventura
very big.
was small.
Ventura. Very
Ventura was
small.
25 against how many of you guys?
Well, we were just a small charter. There was like 5 or 6 of us, but we didn't look at it. I didn't look at it under those circumstances. I figured they had a job to do. I had a job to do. There was a cop there named Cubic. Now, he was a colonel in the Green Berets. He lived up in the mountains with some forces up there. He didn't want a partner. He didn't want any rank. He was a patrol officer for the whole time he was on the force, and he would come by the clubhouse and tell us. He goes, "Those fuckers up on F Street, man, they're kind of getting out of hand up there. You guys fucking can't control the streets." And I mean, to me, that was a message for, if these guys get out of line.
It's good policing right there.
Yeah, I mean that's what they did. They did it for years. And then what happened was, I'll tell you another thing. Right in the midst of all this phenomena starts of violence on gang violence. They start the drive-by shooting stuff. And we pulled all the street gangs in to the clubhouse, and we said, there's going to be no drive-by shootings in this town. You're not going to endanger the citizens. Now, the old cops thought that was the greatest thing the Hells Angels in Ventura ever did.
Of course.
The young cops said it was none of our fucking business.
No.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Not agreed.
Not me
No.
either. And the old cops didn't agree. They go, "Hey man, if we can save the community some grief, let's just let them be, man."
So now you pulled, because that's super interesting. You pulled in other leaders of other gangs,
Street gangs.
like the Crips, and who else is?
Well, no, there weren't Crips up there. There were the Avenue Gangsters, Pierpont, Midtown, Crazy East Side, just different stuff.
But you name it, and then how
they
did
came to the clubhouse.
They did.
Yeah, and we brought them in there and said, "Look, you guys have a short window span in your gang activity. You guys are going to get your girlfriend pregnant. You're going to have 2 or 3 kids. You're going to become a plumber. You're going to be an electrician. You're going to do what you got to do to support your family." I go, when you guys are living at home, working and coming home, drinking a beer after work, we're going to still be running the streets, man. We're professionals. We're Hells Angels. I go, you guys can't create an environment that's going to get a bunch of federal money granted here and this and that. I mean, I reasoned with them. And I'll tell you, out of that conversation, we had several of those gang members get motorcycles and start hanging around the Hells Angels. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it wasn't intentional. It wasn't by design. It was just something that happened. And I was criticized by some of the older members for it. They didn't like you're drawing from these gang members. And I said, no, we're not drawing from anybody. These guys are getting an idea of how we live our lives and what we do. And the vehicle we use is a motorcycle, and they've got to come here with their own motorcycle. They can't just come here and, hey, I want to join up. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
But that's when I noticed, and I don't know, you as a police officer may have, but that's when I noticed the department changing in Ventura. The dynamics of
What year?
it. Mid-90s, early 90s.
Oh, wow. Mid-90s was insane.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst that I saw in policing.
In what regard?
Just the crimes being committed. In Jersey, it was the height of drugs, stolen cars, and criminality.
See, we didn't have that kind of crime in Ventura. I mean, but I will tell you, the Hells Angels in Ventura were very powerful. We ruled kind of with an iron hand the streets. There were police officers by, I would say, 2009, 2010. The old guard was all pretty much gone, retired. I even had one police chief tell me, "You guys handle the streets. We don't care what you do. Someone's going to run it. But don't ever hurt anybody. Don't jeopardize anybody.
Right.
Don't hurt any citizens.
Well, that's where it crosses the line.
yeah.
And if you can bridge that gap, that's great.
Right. It's difficult.
It's a really
You
hard
talk
thing
about,
to do.
pressure and
Because you're sitting in a police officer's mind, right? You're sitting with the devil. I'm
Right.
making a deal with the
the devil.
He's gonna, he's gonna handle things streetwise. I'm gonna handle things externally,
Yeah.
and that's gonna
And
be
as
it.
long as you can keep it out of the media
Right.
and out of the hospital, these guys out of
Yeah, but if
I'm
you can,
okay with that.
if you can make that arrangement, it's great.
right.
And what you did in Ventura is great because you basically had things mitigated.
Right. Right.
And, when you're talking about different cities in Jersey, it was just, and I'm sure it went on. I'm sure, there's no doubt in my mind that
what
it
went
went
on?
on, that it was said, hey, look, do what you guys do.
Okay. You mean you're talking about here in Jersey?
yeah,
I'm
if
sure.
we- if
There's no
we-
doubt in my mind.
If we catch you,
Yeah.
you're going.
Right.
But the violence, if you want to keep things under wraps, keep the violence down.
Exactly.
But
As soon as this stuff starts getting in the newspapers, then
you're done.
people show up at the community,
That's it.
the weekly city council
The
meeting.
city
they
council
start
meeting,
complaining.
you're done.
There's a bunch of Hell's Angels hanging out down here, and they're creating problems. You get 3 or 4 of those,
Yep.
then they got to address it.
That's it. They
The,
have
the
to.
mayor calls the chief
Yep.
and says, "Hey, chief, what's Christie and those guys doing down there, man? We're getting people complaining. Somebody got their ass kicked by him." You
Yeah.
know?
You stay in the shadows, you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
How many Hell's Angels were in Ventura at the time?
Well, I'd say we had about 20 guys at one time, which may not sound like a lot, but it is.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
It's a lot, because what happens is each one of those 20 people probably have 10 close friends that become associates. And from there, maybe 20 in addition. So each guy's bringing around 30 people. We used to have parties there, and we would charge a fee to get in, all draft beer you could drink. We'd have a local bands come and play, and we had a rule: no fighting at the clubhouse. If 2 street gangs showed up there and they left it on the street,
Yep.
they didn't bring it into the clubhouse.
Wow.
And I mean, sometimes you made 25,000 a night, man. You
Holy
figure
shit.
selling beer, selling T-shirts, selling shots of whiskey, selling raffle tickets for stuff that was donated to us. I mean, it wasn't uncommon to walk away with 20 grand a night, man. I mean, we didn't do it all the time. Maybe every 6 weeks.
Impressive. How many? So you got about 20 in Ventura. What about in California total? Like, how many Hell's Angels are there? Do you even know
Well,
at this point?
I mean, you figure you got 15, 18 charters. Just say average, you got 10 people in each charter.
Okay.
But then you got big charters, like Oakland had like 40 guys in it.
Was that the biggest one at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I always took the position and posture. It's better to have 10 good guys, solid guys, than 25 guys. Half of them, you're not sure if you can count on.
Yeah. Okay. So when you guys went to war with the Mongols, how many Mongols were there? Like, was it a disparity between
Well,
the numbers?
after the, I've had Mongols. I've never had a Mongol say it's incorrect. I had Mongols say, "Well, you guys had pretty good intelligence." After the first initial thunder of the battle, if you will, we had the Mongols down to 18 people, and it was. I mean, we hit pretty hard on them. I mean, we were blowing them up. One of the guys took a tire into a motorcycle shop, and the detonator was in the valve stem. And they pulled the valve stem out. The contacts hit, and the thing blew up. Unfortunately, and this was my posture, my position. I told those guys not to do it, and they did it anyways. I wasn't an officer at the time, but I said, we got to worry about collateral damage. You start using this dynamite,
Yeah.
and I'm not I don't want people to get the wrong idea. My suggestion was go up and do it the old-fashioned way: shoot him in the head. You know,
Yeah.
don't build a bomb that you've got no control over. And what happened was, they killed a Mongol, but standing next to that Mongol was his 15-year-old cousin, and it blew up both of them. You know, cut them in half. You know, I saw the autopsy pictures. I mean, they were just
All that to kill one.
you have to kill one Mongol. You know. And that was the second attempt. The first attempt failed. The bomb didn't detonate. And because I was against explosives, I was assigned to go get the bomb and bring it back to the armory, the place we call the armory.
So now you said, again, all-out war, you see him kill him. Did you ever have interactions where you saw a Mongol and you didn't come to any sort of interaction?
Yeah, we ran into him in probably maybe 1980, 1979, maybe 79 going into 80 at the Toy Run in Hollywood. And it was Toys for Tots.
Okay.
And the Mongols showed up. There's about 20 of them. There's probably 20, 30 of us. And there was a guy named Redbeard I think he was out of Long Beach. He was kind of running that crew at the time. And I went up to him and I go, "What do you want to do, man?" And I said, "I don't think this is a place." And he goes, "I don't think it is either." And I said, "Okay." I said, "How about this? You guys go. I don't expect you to go get on your bikes and leave right now. But I said, how about we all mingle around our bikes and start leaving around the same time? You go one way, we'll go the other. Nobody can say, well, the Hells Angels ran these guys off, or the Mongols ran the Hells Angels off." And that's what we did, you know. And that kind of planted a seed in my head. Like, we've got guys here that basically coming from the same culture we are. I mean, why are we fighting these guys? You know, it doesn't make sense. When I went into prison in 1986, one of the first things I asked Guy, I mentioned earlier about coming into the prison, one of the questions that night when Guy and I were alone, I asked him in confidence, I said, "Who do we have a problem in here with?" And his response shocked me. He said, "We don't have a problem with anybody." And I said, "Well, isn't there Mongols in here and outlaws and banditos?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, he goes, "We don't fight in prison." I go, "We don't fight in prison?" He goes, "No, we have a rule. We don't fight each other in prison. We just do our time and go home." And I go, "And then we fight?" He goes, "Yeah, basically." So when I came home in 1987, I was making a real effort to end the wars with the Outlaws. I figured I'd end the war with the Outlaws. Was the biggest club and the most powerful club. I would say second to the Hells Angels. They probably wouldn't want to hear me say that. They'd probably say, "Well, you guys were second to us." But all joking aside, they were very prominent. I figured if I could get them to agree to amnesty on the violence, that the banditos and in turn the Mongols, everybody would kind of fall in line, and that's what we did. We created an amnesty on the violence. We never ended the wars. We never ended the war with the Outlaws. In Europe, we amnesty on the violence, and ultimately, which was quite interesting, had the Mongols at the Ventura clubhouse while we had a Ventura member was doing time for blowing up that Mongol and his cousin. At the same time he was doing time. And, it's the dynamics of things change. Can you imagine how much time he got for blowing up those two guys in downtown Los Angeles? Our lawyer got him 6 years.
Wow.
Did you almost...
So I don't know if they didn't think there was much worth on our life, or I don't know what the philosophy was on that, but that's kind of astonishing. 6 years for a double homicide bombing in downtown Los Angeles. What would happen today in today's world?
25, 30 years life?
At least. At least.
How does that not result in life? You kill two people.
Well, it started out with as a death penalty case. The death penalty in California in the 70s was on again, off again, again, off again. It started as a death penalty case. We have a very astute attorney, Robert Sheehan, very famous in Southern California, has won cases. My jaw drops when, him and I have a very, very personal relationship. So I discuss the cases with him. I advise him sometimes if it's a gang related or whatever, as a favor to him. But he got a not guilty on a. This is how persuasive he is. He got a not guilty on a. Someone was doing an exorcism in a church, and the preacher killed the person during the exorcism.
Wow.
And he got him a not guilty. And, he's very persuasive. He's very astute. He knows the laws. They didn't want to go in to this courtroom with him. Now, you got to understand, the crime happened in 1977. The indictment didn't come till 1994. They had no idea who did it until an informant gave them. And that's how that stuff happens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. In 1977, all the crimes take place by a gentleman in Los Angeles. There's several Los Angeles Hells Angels. This gentleman comes up from San Diego. Somebody recently asked me what's one of the toughest charters.
I was going to ask.
Feared charters. San Diego. Brad Eaton comes up, makes the bomb. They stuff it full of that dynamite. They take the dynamite out of the armory, what we call the armory. He gets hot, man. He thinks the cops are onto him. He packs up and moves to New York City. He's now on 3rd Street. He's a New York City Hells Angel. Changes his name. I can't remember what he keeps his front name Brad, but changes it to Eaton. I think he's arrested at with Eaton. I don't know. I can't remember. It's not important. So he gets busted, Operation Rough Rider. And this is 1984, I think, something like that, 83. They arrest him, find a bunch of drugs. He made a bunch of drug sales. And he says, how would you guys like to solve some murders in Southern California? And it's let's make a deal, man. And
wow.
Guy Castiglione had killed Redbeard and Jingles on the freeway. Guy goes to prison. And, we had some top-notch lawyers at the time. Barry Tarlow gets Guy Castiglione 4 years for the murders on the freeway. And you can look this stuff up. It's all documented. Anybody that's at home calling bullshit.
Those were Mongols at the time?
Yeah. Okay. Redbeard and Jingles were Mongol officers.
And he did 6 years for that?
4 years.
For the 2 murders?
Yeah, 4 years. Him and I were in prison together in Terminal Island. He was, he's the gentleman that was waiting there for me when the Sallyport opened.
Must have been scary.
Yeah.
Seeing him waiting there.
Yeah. It was kind of like.
It was like, wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. Well, I knew what he was doing there.
Yeah.
Him and I were very close, and we became even closer. But so Brad now rats on Guy. Guy immediately cuts a deal, gets 4 years. They offer Tom Heath, a Ventura Hells Angel, former Los Angeles Hells Angel with me. They offer him 4 years as well. Tom's very cavalier. He's one of these guys that he doesn't know when to say when. And he goes, fuck him, make him prove it. And, the lawyers are saying, Tom, they know you did it, man. You got a witness, The guy's going to identify you.
Right.
The people in the shop are going to identify you as taking the tire in. He goes, nah, fuck him. One of those guys, I will not cop to anything. And but eventually he cops, they indict him. It goes, they change it, life sentence, and they get it down finally. 2nd degree homicide and from the explosion. And, Tom does 6 years. But it's not till 1994 or something.
But it makes so much sense, like you said, when the informants kind of go back. How does your relationship change with Sonny when he relinquishes his power, realizes he's not going to die, and then tries to kind of take it back from you?
Well, he didn't take it back in the sense I'm taking it back. So what he does is I'm now running the West Coast officers meetings. He comes in and presents something, and I think it's wrong. And he takes exception to it because I'm basically telling my big brother or my father how, from the perception of he's the patriarch of the club, telling him, no, man, I'm not going to vote for it. Not only is it wrong, but I have a better idea. and that's really hard for him to swallow. And so what happens is you've got your faction that thinks Sonny Barger is right, and you got your faction that goes, no, wait a minute, maybe George is onto something here. So it creates a tug of war. I'm sure you've experienced it in the department.
Yeah, of course.
You've had you get somebody that's what are they, colonels? That's a very high position.
Very high.
Yeah, you get somebody that becomes a colonel and he thinks, I've got a better idea than the old colonel has.
Yeah.
The old colonel's going, hey, wait a minute, man. That worked for 20 years. Why do you got to change it?
But
they take it personal.
Power struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at this point again, like the hierarchy isn't that you are over him in any capacity, other than subjectively the people in the room may listen to you over
perception perceived, perception achieved. So if they're listening to Sonny, Sonny's got to be in control. If they're listening to George, George has got to be in control. And no offense to the general membership, they're not leaders; they're followers.
Yep.
So they're looking who's leading,
and they're following you at this point.
Yeah, this guy's leading. I'm following him because I joined this club to party, chase girls, get high, and ride my motorcycle. I don't want to make decisions. Make the decision for me. You have a lot. I'm sure it's the same way.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's the same way in the military and law enforcement.
Same thing.
Perhaps in corporations, big corporations.
Sometimes you look at it like, okay, whatever it is, it is.
Yeah,
it's not going to change my life.
No, it's like
I'm going to keep doing my thing.
Yeah, and it's like, some of Sonny's biggest followers, in a humorous way, I started getting a lot of publicity and, showing up in the newspaper, showing up on TV. And some of the guys would joke, I'm hanging out with George. I feel like having my picture taken today. And it was a joke, but I don't know if they were trying to aggravate Sonny. They would say it out loud. And, I don't know if, I don't know. You don't know. Was this guy just being funny and having fun? Or was he have a personal issue with Sonny and he's letting Sonny know, hey, this guy's taking your power, man. Yeah. He's the guy they're looking at now.
Well, and then you got people egging him on, too. You got the antagonist.
You're going to let him get away with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to let him say that?
Yeah, he don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. You're Sonny Barger.
You brought him in. You did this. He was under your wing.
Yeah, you gave him the power.
That starts more shit than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, the internal stuff is terrible, man.
Yeah.
It's worse than the outside shit.
I can only imagine.
He really can't do much, though, other than get in people's ears at this point, though, correct? Like, he can't oust you.
No, he has no power.
He has no power, right.
Yeah,
so all he's got to do is be like...
I have no power over him.
Right.
That's
kind of like the pro and con of having this siloed out or autonomous structure, which is so interesting. Again, I never thought that...
It's interesting... And there's a lot of people, and I don't know, maybe you can address this. There's a lot of people in law enforcement that don't believe that. They think it's bullshit. It's like when Sonny was sick, I was the boss, and I was responsible. When Sonny comes back, there's a power struggle right now. And, there was one particular officer, and I write about him. There's one particular officer that was telling everybody throughout the United States that George Christie had taken control of the club. And there was a reason he was doing that. He wasn't doing that for George Christie, or he was doing it because it made him important. Right. Because he had a relationship with George Christie, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So he was the most powerful police officer in the United States that had a connection to the Hells Angels. So it upped his, anti-innocent. Yeah, suddenly he was important. You want to know about the Hells Angels? Well, let's call Assistant Chief so-and-so from the Ventura PD. He's got a direct line to Christie.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it makes him...
Because you were at a time, At that time, you were the de facto leader.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I
And
totally
in New York,
right,
I think now coming across the country,
right.
from what I was told, that you were the de facto leader.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. You know, do you remember Sandy Alexander?
Yes.
Now
I was told to mention that name, by the way.
he was a very
He was
powerful
a New York guy.
He was a very powerful Hell's Angel, and you know who had a problem with him was Sonny. Sonny was jealous of him, you know, and Sonny, and I write about it in the book, so I'll talk about it. I think Sonny was considering clipping him, you know, because Operation Rough Rider. Do you know what the headline said? They dubbed Sandy Alexander the most powerful Hell's Angel in the United States, and Sonny took exception to that. As trivial and as petty as that sounds, that's the honest to God truth. And do you know who Terry the Tramp was? A lot of people don't know who he is. Terry the Tramp. If you watch the book if you watch the movie Hell's Angels '69, Terry the Tramp was the guy riding next to Sonny in the movie. He was the really loud and boisterous, and when you looked at him, you go, "That's it. What a Hell's Angel should look like."
Right.
He was finally responsible for people cutting their gloves off and the gauntlets, and Sonny pushed him out of the club, and the guy was given a hot shot. You know, Sonny didn't want him around. You know,
Right.
and did Sonny tell me that? No, Sonny didn't tell me that, and I kept it. I kept it to myself till Sonny died, and then I said what happened, and I was told by Animal, a very powerful Oakland Hell's Angel who I grew up with. We were friends. It's funny because I'll tell you a funny story in a minute, but Animal told me that Sonny wanted Terry out of the picture. You know, he was getting too powerful. He was getting too prominent. People were identifying with him. When Ventura and Oakland were fighting, Sonny wanted to create conflict in Ventura, so he sends Animal to transfer to Ventura for several months because we were down membership. Not only it's a double purpose gesture, he helps us boost our membership because we have to have so many members to maintain status as a charter. But Animal's a real hellraiser and a troublemaker. But there's something that Animal and I have together that Sonny doesn't know about. Animal and I have known each other since elementary school. He went to Pleasant Valley Elementary School together. Then we went to Camarillo High School together. And then we rode with a bike club out of Ventura County called the Question Marks, who were endorsed by the Hells Angels. So we had that history together. So they sent Animal down thinking he's going to be his usual animal self, always creating problems for people, hard to get along with. So the next meeting I go up to, Moldy Marvin says to me, "I want to ask you a question." And he goes, "How long have you known Animal?" And I said, "Well, since he was wearing short pants." I'm being a smart ass. And they didn't do their homework, you know. And I didn't tell Moldy Marvin in the meeting, but after the meeting, I said, "Man, you guys, you know, you're trying to disrupt the charter. You should do your homework. Man, you send the wrong guy down there." Animal and I have known each other since we were kids, you know, and we're still close friends. And indirectly, the best thing Sonny could have done was send Animal down there because, you know, Animal had an allegiance to me, to David Ortega, who I mentioned earlier, and it solidified us as a legitimate Hell's Angel charter. You know, when you're the new guy, we were Los Angeles charter. I kicked out a bunch of people with John's permission in Los Angeles, and then I handpicked everybody and moved them to Ventura. And, you know, we were basically starting over. I wanted to mold the charter into what I thought would be a productive Hell's Angel charter. I'm not saying productive for the community. This is self-serving stuff. You know, it had productive for the Ventura Hell's Angels.
That's what a leader does, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what a leader does.
What is the relationship like between Sonny and John? Are they close?
Sonny and who?
John. John was the one that you were brought in by, correct?
Oh, old man John?
Yeah.
They didn't like each other.
They didn't.
No.
Why is that?
I think John was tolerable to Sonny, but Sonny did not like John. And, you know, John was a powerful guy. He was a big guy, you know, 6'6", 6'4". I don't know how big he was. His hands looked like baseball mitts, you know, one of them big guys. Always had a little cigar in his mouth he was chomping on, and it would, you know, bob up and down. And anytime he talked, he'd grab it with his right hand usually, and, you know. And he had this habit. He was tall and big, and he would get up on you, and he didn't do it like to intimidate you. It was just part of his personality. He'd stoop down to you. And I'll tell you about those son of a bitches, you know. And then he'd tell you. And his favorite saying was, "I'm going to tell you how the hog ate the cabbage," you know. And then he would go into his.
There you go.
Was he bigger than Charlie Goldsmith?
No, but close.
Really?
Yeah. Charlie was bigger. John was more lean, but tall.
What was your relationship like with Charlie?
Good. Pee-wee. I've known him.
That's what we called him. Okay.
The relationship with Pee-wee was good. Pee-wee got a raw deal, man. You know, Pee-wee got pushed out of the club for no reason. Perhaps, you know, you don't know, you know. Pee-wee, I don't know if Pee-wee has told, you've talked to Pee-wee?
No.
I don't know if Pee-wee even says this on the podcast he's been on. Sonny was instrumental in help pushing him out. And then Sonny wanted to bring him back. And I've never talked to Pee-wee about this. My suspicion is Sonny wanted to help bring him back into the fold so Pee-wee would have an obligation to him. And he called Pee-wee up, and Pee-wee would tell a story better for himself. But Pee-wee gets a phone call from Sonny, and Sonny says, "How would you like to come back?" And Pee-wee goes, "I have no interest to come back." And Sonny said, "Well, I guess there's no reason for me to ever talk to you again." Something to that effect. Yeah. And then he hung up and ended the call. Because Pee-wee was, Pee-wee got a raw deal. And I think Pee-wee said, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to be part of this thing." You know, it's just like when I decided to quit in 2011. First of all, it took me 2 years. You know, I don't want to say I wasn't afraid of retribution. You want to know what I was afraid of? Marring my ego up. That's what it was about. It was about, I'm no longer will be George Christie, the Hell's Angel. You know, I'm just going to be George Christie. And am I ready to accept that role again? You know, and I know when I took my patch off, I put it on the table, told everybody, I said, we've become the people we rebelled against. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to move on. I go, we're fighting every bike club plus law enforcement. And I go, why can't we get along with anybody? I go, you're trying to pick a fight with the Vagos. The Vagos don't want to fight. I said, when somebody doesn't want to fight and you continue to pick on them, that makes you a bully. And I go, I've never been a bully. And I go, I don't like bullies. Never liked bullies. And I took my patch off, I put it on the table, and I'll tell you that the walk to the threshold of the clubhouse door was probably maybe 1.5 of this, and that was the longest walk I ever took. But it took me 2 years to make that decision because, you know, I didn't know if my ego could handle it. You know?
Well,
you know what was it like?
It's the whole. So people ask me, they go, you know, how do you feel retiring?
Yeah.
And I'm like, my answer always was one thing. I miss the guys. I don't miss the job.
Okay.
And that was my whole thing. Like the guys, and I was at a point where I had younger guys under me that I was trying to keep safe, keep alive,
right.
Make
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah. And my whole thing was, for 25 years, it was all about these guys.
Right.
And like to this day, when I'm driving down the highway and I see that triangle patch,
Right.
I see the troopers, I'm like, I'll like give a deep breath. And like if I'm in the car with somebody, they go, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "Nah, that fucking guy, he shouldn't be getting out of the car like that. He should be doing this, that, and the other thing."
I understand that. I understand everything you're saying.
I should go talk to them. And I feel like I should go to the station and go, "Hey, there was just a young trooper on the stop. I just want to talk to him for 1 minute and just tell him,
What you saw,
don't do
was
this,
dangerous.
don't do that, don't." And it's like when one of my brothers or sisters goes down, my wife will like, she knows. I go in my office, I close the door, and she'll hear me like crying and screaming, and it's like I take it personal.
Right.
You know?
For
Like-
me, if you ask me, I love the past, but I wasn't happy with the present.
Right.
And I
I had to
left.
leave because of the guys.
Yeah.
The guys that were coming in, it was the entitlement generation,
Yeah.
and it became too many questions to me as a leader. And I was like, why are you even asking me this? You have the easiest job in the world. I tell you what to do, go do it. And if anything happens, it's my fault.
Right.
Did you guys know you were leaving?
No, I didn't tell anybody. I
But
didn't
did they
even
have
tell
an
my
Did they have
son.
an idea?
No.
Really? So they were shocked.
Shocked. When I came to the meeting, I started giving my speech. They thought I was talking about stepping down as the leader. They go, "Okay, well, we'll let somebody else carry the." I go, "No, man, you guys aren't getting this." I said, "I'm done, man. I'm over. This is it." And
That must have been nuts.
yeah, it was tough, man.
Did they
Yeah.
give you pushback? Like you can't leave?
No, I was out in good standing. Within days, Sonny found out I was gone, and he just went on a character assassination of me.
Wow.
It was tough. It was tough to take. The lies about me were more. The lies about me were more hurtful than anything, because one of the foundations of the club was you never lie to your brothers. You tell the truth.
Sure.
You get it off your
Yeah.
chest, take the consequences, and usually you could always resolve everything and work it out. And when the lies started coming out, I was like, Jesus, man, this is incredible. But I think there's, if you get the book Crossing the Rubicon, it's very laid out what transpired. There was a woman involved. There was a woman that worked for me for 20 years. I fired her because I suspected she was giving
I heard though. Yeah.
information to law enforcement.
Mhm.
And how did I know that? There were police reports turning up, and there were things in the police report written that only her and I knew.
Right.
So I wasn't telling on myself, and they weren't serious things, but you start doing little things, it can turn into a big thing. I'm sure you've turned people before, and they, at first they're going to give you a little bit, and they give you a little bit, and you go, "Man, that didn't hurt too much." And then they get themselves in a real jam, and they go, "You know what I really can do? I can."
Let
tell
me
you
ask you a
this."
question.
Okay.
Did you ever float something out there?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
To see if it came back and where it came back.
Because that's
Counterintelligence.
the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I remember for me, I would say something and go, "Okay, I'll let that
and
marinate.
it come back. Huh?
Let me see if it comes back."
Yeah.
Okay. So I have somebody
Lethal.
on my squad
Yeah.
that likes to talk to
Somebody.
admin or
Sure,
somebody
yeah,
above me.
Yeah.
And now that just came back, it's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
that-
Let me tell you what this was about. Do you remember when cell phones first came out? Do
Yeah.
you remember you could chip phones,
yeah.
and you could get a phone, you could get it chipped. It might work for 6 days. It might work for 6 months.
Right.
And I gave this woman that worked for me a chip phone, And I said, don't give the number out and only use it in cases of emergency. And you'll have a phone, you'll have a direct line. And they said, okay. So the day the shop got busted, she completely freaked out. I was shocked the way she conducted herself. The heat was...
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah. And then I saw the police report, and in the police report it said, Zorana told me that Mr. Christie gave her the chip phone that we caught her with. And he goes, I think that's a federal offense or something that he wrote in there. So I confronted her. I showed it to her, and she goes, I never said that. And I go, well, come on, man. I go, I'm not stupid. I said, look, this is the deal. I said, I'm going to let you go. I said, I can't have you working for me anymore. And I'm going to 86 you. You can't come around the club. And what do you think she did?
Went to Son.
She went to Sonny.
Of course.
And she told Sonny, she goes, George is 86 in me, and I didn't do nothing wrong. And so I showed Sonny the police report. Sonny goes, you can't believe a cop. And I go, well, I can believe what he wrote.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, I'm not talking about believing the cop. I'm believing what he wrote. I mean, where did that information come from? And he goes, you're being too hard on her. And he married her. You know, he wound up marrying her. Yeah.
Always over a woman.
And that has to be so exhausting that every day, this guy that you respected at one point and were able to work with, now you just everything's in order.
Do you know the story about his previous wife?
No.
That she was number 4.
4.
That was his 4th wife. And I'm not being disparaging.
Yeah.
I'm just putting them in order. His 3rd wife, her name was Noelle Barger. This girl was Zorana Barger. Noelle Barger was a paid government informant. She was getting $1,000 a week from the FBI. And it's documented. I'm
She
not
was a
making this
honeypot.
shit up.
That's what they call them.
What do they call them?
Honeypots. That's when the FBI sends one in to start marrying. We just had an FBI agent on. She said the key indicator is when someone they're like when you go I'm like tripping on this now. So they call it a honeypot. I keep on teaching you something. So she said they call them honeypots. And if you ever go overseas and you're like an informant or you're working for the government or whatever, and a girl that is so out of your league all of a sudden starts to hit on you, you know it's a honeypot. They're there.
Is that the girl yesterday?
You got a honeypot coming at you. But what they'll do is they'll sleep with the guys or whatever. They'll blackmail them and say, I'm going to show this to your wife, or you have to give up some information or whatever. So that's we were just talking about the other day. So I wonder if that's what they would have called her back in the day.
I don't know, but if at the end of my book, I'm going to send you.
Please do. Yeah.
I'm going to send the book. At the end of the book.
2 books.
2 books. Okay. 2 books. At the end of the book, I have an article written by a award-winning journalist for Phoenix Magazine, and the article's entitled "The Rise and Fall of Sonny Barger."
Whoa!
And in this, they expose when he called 911, what he said on the 911 call.
I heard that.
Yeah,
I listened to that the other.
Yeah,
I did a little intel.
You did some intel. I'm sure you did.
I had.
I know you did. You just in your blood. So listen. In this, they let the reader get some insight into the 911 call he made. Him and I had a big beef about that. I didn't have a problem. He had physically did something to his wife. She claimed she couldn't walk. He called the 911 ambulance. After he called the ambulance, he should have hung up. The police got on the phone. The police took over the call.
Asking him questions.
Asking him questions. Well, what happened? Well, she tried to run me off the road. Strike 1. Does anybody have a gun? Well, she has a gun. Strike 3.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was
horrible. Strike 3.
Bad.
Are you guys on drugs? Well, I'm not. He's making this dry snitching like inferences.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know there's people out there right now that are listening to this going, what the fuck's this guy doing right now? Hey, you know what? I'm not talking to anybody on an official capacity. We're just having a conversation here. Sonny's dead.
No.
He may be turning over in his grave.
Yeah, maybe.
But I can't control that.
Yeah.
But they went to court. They filed charges on Sonny. They went to court. And that's where it was exposed that she was a paid government informant.
Wow.
She said it under oath testimony.
That is crazy. A honeypot.
Honeypot.
That
I'm
is.
going to
Could have
study
been.
that. It could have been a honeypot. No,
I mean,
Adam and I were walking down the street yesterday, man, and so I'm going to take a selfie. So I shoot a selfie. You know, I went to the buildings.
If
in the
he
background.
takes selfies, I can take selfies.
You take a
Anybody
selfie,
can take a
man.
selfie. Yeah.
You know why I take my own selfies? See, I get the wrinkles.
So you know
Right.
exactly.
right.
You know exactly where to put the phone.
I know
right?
exactly where
That's
to hide
right.
the
Yeah,
wrinkles.
I can't
Come on,
hide
you look
my
great for 78 years old, man. Come on, you don't have a bad angle.
So I'm standing on this. I don't know, man, where she come from. This has nothing to do with anything, but I thought it was interesting. She's, it's so cute. You're taking a selfie of yourself. And then I'm kind of like, oh, man. I'm married, man. I don't want nothing to do with this shit.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Adam steps in, man. And so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she goes, yeah, I'm waiting for this building to open. She goes, yeah, what did she say? It was a massage?
Looking for a massage parlor.
I'm looking for a massage parlor, and that was like the come on line, and I looked at Adam like, I'm getting out of here,
Get out
man.
of here.
Yeah,
honeypot.
we said, well, we'll see you later, man.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. That's
Yeah,
not a place
no
you wanna
kidding.
be.
we're out of here.
That is so funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, around there especially.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's
Yeah.
my New York story for this trip.
Pretty common New York story. Oh, you mentioned.
So was I a mark?
I don't know. Listen, I have no clue. But I
You
don't
were
want.
more for
Maybe she was a
something.
honeypot.
Yeah, she was trying to get you, so they knew where you were. I don't want to forget this because we talked about it off camera.
All right.
Your experience with solitary confinement.
Okay.
What was it? Your second time?
Second
In
time
prison?
in 2000. I'm in 1986.
86.
I get arrested. I go down to the Terminal Island prison. I'm running around with Guy from San Diego.
Wait, 86.
86.
You were 86.
I was 86, man.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. So let me see, 86. I'd probably be gone by 86 hits us again.
Now,
I might not be.
How'd they get you in 86?
They conspiracy to. They said I ordered a murder.
But the guy never was that. The guy was never
No,
dead.
he was never dead. It was like a government hoax thing, and they were taking it to the max. I was good friends with a gentleman named Mike Eisen. His nickname was Acha, and if people wanted to look him up, he was one of the leaders in the Mexican mafia. Very powerful guy. He picked up a beef in Ventura, and I wound up helping him at the request of some Oakland Hells Angels. I didn't even know who he was at first. So Acha and I hit it off. You know how you do certain people, man? You just hit it off.
Sure.
Him and I hit it off. We become really good friends. And then I discovered before this, but suddenly there's a big article in the Ventura newspaper, in the Oxnard newspaper. I don't think it made the Times. It could have. I don't know. But George Christie has a connection to the Mexican mafia.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It cuts both ways. Law enforcement suddenly had a really big interest in me, but my street cred
Went up.
was, man.
Sure,
it was
of
hitting.
course.
It was hitting 10, man. I was a number 10. God damn, Christie's tied in with those dudes, man. And wow, that's some power. And so my street cred went up. But my target on my back also got bigger. And they came up with this idea that they would send a Mexican mafia member named Poor Slim. He always had the sad story. They called him Poor Slim. Slim's out of money. Slim needs a shot of heroin. Slim needs this. So Slim comes to the clubhouse, and he's kind of probing, and, do you have any work for me? And I go, no, man, I don't have anything for you. And so this is the day we're going to Doug the Thug's funeral. He's a famous Hells Angel. He died in prison. Nobody knows about the funeral. And this guy goes, so you're heading up to the Bay Area? And I go, I'm looking at him, I go, yeah. And he goes, going to say goodbye to Doug, huh? And I'm going, whoa, who's this dude, man? He just looks like a street guy. And Doug died under very controversial condition. Doug died from an overdose of heroin in prison. Heroin's against the rules in the Hells Angels, but Even in death, Doug had such a reputation. Even in death, nobody wanted to kick him out of the club.
Right,
man. They were afraid
Yeah,
he
of
might not be
course.
dead, man.
Right. He might come back and get you.
Exactly. He's like the boogeyman.
Right.
And so he goes, yeah, Doug had a problem, didn't he? And so I know now this guy knows he died from an overdose. And I look at him and he goes, look, man. He goes, I'm not going to tell you who I am, but I will tell you this. He goes, ask around when you get up to the funeral. And he goes, I'll tell you who I am. And so he leaves. I ride up to the funeral. So I go to Sonny and I go to Big Al. I go to Albert, who has a good relationship with Emmy. Talk to him. I said, you ever heard of a guy named Poor Slim? Oh, yeah, shit, man, you know. And then I go to Sonny. You ever hear of Poor Slim? Oh, man, yeah. You know, that guy's responsible for 19 murders, you know, and he's telling me all this stuff. And he's a major player. He goes, man, you know, give him the respect he's got coming. And I said, okay, no problem. So following week, Slim shows up again. And Slim goes, hey, George, how you doing, man? Did you ask around about me? I go, yeah. And I'm kind of smiling. I go, yeah, Slim, I asked around about you. He goes, you know, I really came here for something else. I didn't come here for work. He goes, I got a problem with one of your guys. And I go, what's that? And he goes, he owes me $10,000. And he goes, if he doesn't pay me, he goes, I'm going to kill him. And he goes, but I give you the opportunity to pay the debt for him if you want. And I said, I'm not paying 10 grand for that dude. The guy was he was no good, you know.
Right.
I said, I'm not paying you $10,000. He goes, well, I'm going to kill him. And we wind up having like probably 15, 16 conversations. And out of all those conversations, the recorder only worked twice, they said. Yeah. You know that story, huh?
Yeah.
So the last conversation I had, he comes back to me and he goes, all right, George, everything's green light. We're going to kill this dude, man. So I don't want you coming back later and crying to me. And I'm like losing my temper. And I go, fuck that motherfucker. And I go, if he was here, I'd do it myself, man. I go, do whatever you want to him. But he's walking away. But at the end of the tape, he goes, hey, thanks a lot, George. And I go, yeah, thanks for nothing. Because I was kind of fed up with the guy. And so that's also on the tape. So I wind up getting indicted.
Oh, because
He was working for the feds.
and you had no clue at this point.
No. So I get arrested.
Well, he was vouched.
Yeah,
by
Sonny
everybody.
Barger told me he was good, man. Big Al told me he was good, man. He was solid.
So he was a good informant.
Oh, man, he worked double both ends of the... So now the story gets better. So I'm down at Terminal Island now, and there's a whole crew of Mexican gangbangers from the next town over. And there's a real serious street gang over there called the Colonia. They're Chicas Colonia, and they're tied in with the Emmy. And so I'm in line. They go, hey, homeboy, you know. And I've always been good friends with the Mexican dudes. I always got along with them since I was a little kid.
You were in California. You had to.
Yeah.
You had to.
And so the guy goes, that's her shit, man. You got beefed. And so I go, yeah. I go, you never guess who fucking the rat is? And he goes, no, who? And I go, Mike Mulhern. And, man, he looks at me and he gets, like, upset. He goes, hey, man, that's a heavy tag to be thrown on somebody, man. You better have some paperwork. And I go, you want to see it? And he kind of looks at me and he goes, are you serious? And I go, yeah. I mean, this guy had this stellar reputation.
Yeah, no kidding.
We go over to my cell. I'm not even in the cell anymore. Guys got me moved out. I'm living with all the Colombian drug guys, and I'm in a cubicle. You know, it's like first class shit, man. You know, I was flooded with cocaine and the whole goddamn dormitory and shit because the Colombians are running all that shit. But anyways, I go over there. I pull out the paperwork. I show it to him, and I just watch his whole face change. He goes directly over to the phone. We used to have those. They had blue phones, and you dial a number and then collect call. You know, calls home, and he was speaking Spanish really fast. And I remember the phone call ended with "rata," you know. Yeah. And he said, "Cut him loose. He's a rata," you know. And hand me the paperwork back, man. He was like in shock. He goes, I can't even believe this, man. And I spent the next year in prison fighting the case.
But there's no guy dead.
No, but and that was our argument. We didn't know how we were going to do this. And at the last minute, the judge thought I was guilty.
Of what, though?
Conspiracy.
So, if he was, you would have killed him, but he's not an existent person.
Yeah, so I'm still guilty. Morally, I did the wrong. I should have, and I wound up taking the stand, you know. And
it was like a hypothetical, and then you got
I got
booked
arrested
for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, welcome to the 80s, man.
That is insane.
Right? Yeah, law enforcement, feds at their best, man. And that's where I learned that these guys, you think the Hells Angels
What year was this?
1986.
86, you said, right?
86.
Started in 85. No bail. The bail laws had changed. They now have forfeiture laws. They're taking it, they think you made.
So I got on in 88.
88, okay.
So it was the tail end of
that. So you know what was going on with the feds.
Yeah, sure.
They were treacherous, man.
Yep.
And so I don't know. It was just a scam. The whole thing was a facade.
So crazy.
But it cost me a year of my life. And you know what it cost me financially? Well, it cost the club. I didn't pay for it. The club paid for it. This is 1986. It was over $500,000 in 1986.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of dope, man.
In 86.
In 86, man. Think about that.
And now, why solitary confinement for this year?
We're on I'm backpedaling here. This is the golden age.
Oh, right. Okay. This is the club fed.
Yeah, man. Eggs for order.
So you're hanging at this
double
point.
pork chops.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Whatever you want, man.
You don't care about this year.
No, I'm kind of like going. It's funny because. So I start running with all these Mexican guys from Oxnard, and guys laughing. So, guy talks to Sonny on the phone, and Sonny goes, "Well, how's George doing?" Like Sonny's being kind of sarcastic because I've never been arrested before. Let's find out what this guy's really what he's made of. Fucking Sonny, fucking guy, man. He just goes, "Oh shit, man! He started a new gang in here. He got his own gang of Mexicans in here."
Yeah, but when you think about it, right? They literally put you in a group of people.
They nurtured me, man.
A networking group.
I come out of there.
I
come out of there with friends from the 5 families in New York.
Right, that's where you met them all. Okay.
Every Mexican mafia guy that comes in there comes and pays homage to me and apologizes.
It was a networking thing for a year.
Yeah. Look, I had so many deals offered to me when I got out of there, but I was gun shy, man. I had a guy. He told me he had 400 pounds of marijuana, and he was going to front them to me. He came and showed up at the clubhouse. He goes, "Hey, man, I said, "Hey, man, look," I said, "the club just paid $500,000 to get me out of jail." I go, I said, "No offense to you." I said, "But if I got myself in a beef," I go, "man, my head be on a chopping block."
Yeah.
I said, "No, man, I'm not getting involved in nothing." And that's when that Tony Tate was coming around. They were coming after us, man.
Of course.
Yeah. And another thing that I haven't mentioned very often, Anthony Tate, the FBI informant who was a Hells Angel, showed up at my trial, and he came to the lawyer and said, "So what's the defense going to be? How are you guys going to fight this?" And Barry Toller told him, I don't know yet. He was lying. Barry, he didn't trust him. He wouldn't
Did
tell
you
him.
know this guy was an informant at the time?
No, but
Okay,
I
this
didn't
is
like the
still-
way part of his hair.
It was his hair. Right, okay.
But, so that's the golden age of being locked up.
Right.
So now it's
2001. Correct.
I get arrested. I get put in special housing. I get segregated from everybody because they say I'm too high a profile prisoner. And that not only would I manipulate the system and the inmates, somebody may want to make a name for themselves by killing me. So they isolate me. That was their excuse for isolating me. And I spent a year in solitary confinement there. I was in solitary. Then I don't know what year, what month. I got put in I laugh. Double secret solitary. They took away all my mail, no phone calls. I got caught with a chicken bone in my cell. I was using it to clean my bridge. I have a bridge on the bottom of my seat. I was using a chicken bone to clean my bridge, and they said it was a weapon.
Wow.
I said, well, who am I going to use a weapon on? I'm the only one in here, man.
Yeah.
Am I going to commit suicide?
Right.
And
With a chicken bone.
they didn't want to hear it. They were determined to put me. They wanted to break me, man. There were certain cops in there that were really cool, and there were certain cops in there that wanted me to break and to unwind. And you had to take the good with the bad.
Now, you were there for drug indictment at this point?
Yeah, they said that this is the million Vicodin that came into town.
Got it.
They said that I was orchestrating everything. And,
okay.
I mean, they didn't have any buys. They didn't have anybody ratting on me. They didn't have anything. They speculated that I was in charge.
Can you reflect on when you really started to go like stir crazy, like with which day, which month it started?
Not which day. I mean, you have your highs and you have your lows, and I think anybody that's been in solitary knows that you have to fight that breaking point, and it's like you draw just enough water from the well to get through the day, and then the next day you draw some more water, and you get through that day. You don't empty the well in one day, and I'm talking on a metaphor of
Sure.
Of emotions. You reserve your emotions and whatnot. The thing that plays on your head is I was pending a trial. The indictment had already come down. I don't know. I was looking at over 100 years probably. So how do you do that? You don't know the outcome. So each day is difficult. I would think for these guys, there's guys in the state system and there's guys in the federal system. Some of these guys have been in solitary like 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And,
You either fight or fault.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
some of these guys have gone crazy.
Yeah.
I know there was a big AB trial, and the investigator came and talked to me, and one of the guys in the AB that he'd been locked up for a really long time in solitary thought I was sending him mental telepathy messages. He was, like he'd read things I said in the newspaper, and he thought they were somehow. He interpreted them as messages to him. How he got from point A to point Z, I don't know, but is that. When I got out of solitary confinement, I talked to a doctor at Santa Cruz University that was studying isolation, and I think it affected me. It definitely affected me.
100%. But how?
How so?
Well, I had sensory deprivation first. I hadn't touched anybody. The first day I went out, like getting in the car and sitting in the front seat riding home, it was like I'm on a roller coaster, like going 100 miles an hour down. Everything's coming at me. Your eyes are sensitive to natural light. They put you in a cell where they never turn the lights off. It was freezing in there, and it took me months to warm up when I got home. I was freezing on chill, but I think it was a psychological thing. I thought I had the chills. I used to walk around in the cell with a blanket around me, and I'd walk up and down, up and down. You wind up pacing a lot.
Count the steps.
Yes, absolutely.
I had a friend of mine that it was house arrest.
Right.
And it was over a year, and he was allowed to take phone calls. Obviously, it was his
Right.
house. And I'm like, how you doing? He goes, 16 and a half steps to the back of my house.
Yeah, I mean,
I would get off the phone and be like,
yeah. So
holy shit.
that's interesting you say that. In my federal case in 2011, I spent 2 years on house arrest, and initially I spent several months in isolation waiting to bail out. I bailed out in the federal system. It's a whole different bail system than the state. It's like somebody can vouch for you, and like you get. My bail was $250,000. I got 5 people to vouch for me at $50,000 each. And what happens is if you skip, they're liable for the $50,000 they signed on for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people knew I wasn't going to skip, but I come home. Now I'm on house arrest, and I spent 2 years on house arrest. And although it's much, much better than like a solitary confinement, you're still confined to your house.
You're still in your house.
Yeah, you can't get out. You want to go to the doctor, you got an appointment, better have a damn good reason. I mean, they're just the people start taking it personal, like the people watching you, and it's like I even had them pressuring me to take a deal. They go, you know what, man, you better be making a deal pretty soon, or we're going to suggest you get locked up again. And I said, well, I haven't broken any rules. And they go, we're just tired of coming here. I think you get to a point. I think there's no validity in what they were saying, that, we're going to petition the court to arrest you, because they didn't have any grounds. The judge wasn't going to do it. But you feed into it. You're just like, man, I don't want to go get locked up again. I don't want to go into solitary confinement.
Yeah, you're in your house.
Yeah.
You were in
at least I'm in my house.
Did you have any part of you that almost mentally broke? Went in solitary confinement.
I know that, and I'm going to say something that I don't mean it to sound provocative, and I'm not trying to be what's between sane and insanity. I mean, where's the line?
Right.
It's
that's kind of my question. Like, where do you?
Where's the line, and when does that insanity creep in? You don't know. All of a sudden, it's like, man, what am I doing?
Like, holy
here?
shit, am I nuts?
I'm fucking here.
It becomes your new norm almost.
Yeah, and they had a speaker system where they could listen to you in the cell, but it was antiquated, and they turned the speaker on to listen to you. You could hear them, and I would say shit to them, provocative shit to them, and it, I know they were getting ready to raid and I don't know why I did this, but they were getting ready to raid the place. So I thought, fuck them, I'll let them clean my cell out. So I'm by the window, and I start doing all this stuff like I'm packing my safe, like I'm trying to hide something up my ass. And so they come and they hit the cell. The guards just go to Christie's cell. He's hiding something. So they come there, and they tear my cell apart, strip search me, doing the whole spread them, cough, the whole thing. Just, I got nothing. And I'm clowning them, But I mean, it's kind of like
just to see people.
Yeah,
Almost.
just to break the monotony, man. It's like I don't want to spend another day, man, of not getting out of the cell.
Yeah.
And I used to have a friend that owned a bail bonds company, and I was working on my bail in that 2000. He would come and see me until he figured out that I wasn't using this guy. I was just killing time. I was breaking my routine, and they stopped the guy from coming. They wouldn't allow him to come and visit me.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a cat and mouse game. You got a lot of police officers in there that root for you. I would get a newspaper, and I'd open the newspaper up, and there'd be a coffee ring, and that was a message to me that the cops read my paper before I did. It just sounds like an insignificant thing, but one of the cops, he delivered my paper. He goes, "I'm sorry, Christie, someone left a coffee ring on it." But he was a good guy. He was. Yeah. They were. You talked to earlier. You used the word sympathetic to the.
Yeah.
He was sympathetic. It's like there's no reason for Christie to be locked up down there in solitary. He didn't do anything. He didn't break any rules. It's not right.
Would the officers talk to you throughout the day?
the good guys.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when 2000, the Twin Towers fell, we were all locked up.
Right.
We didn't know what was going on. It was all kinds of rumors and shit. There was a real asshole cop in the morning. I said, "Hey, what's happening, man?" He goes, "You don't fucking need to know, man. You go worlds in here. You don't need to worry about what's going on out there." I mean, that was just. We had families out there, man. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
The shift changes. You got a new guy, man. "Hey, Officer so-and-so, what's happening?" Everything's calmed down now, man, but you couldn't believe it. And, they give you a whole rundown of what happened.
Wow.
It would depend on the officer.
Right.
Friday'd come, you have a Friday was my favorite meal. It was a fish patty and macaroni and cheese. It was my favorite meal. That's
what you have to look forward to.
Yeah, it was, and guy would ask me a trivia question, and if I could answer it, he'd give me an extra plate. It was just kind of a game.
Yeah.
And it was occupied me.
Yeah, but that little bit of interaction.
Man, it did wonders, man. It really did. And you know what? I ran into some of the good cops. The good cops, if you run into them on the street, man, they would, "Hey, Christie, man, you fucking out, man. That's cool." The cops that were assholes, they go the other way.
Yeah.
Because they're not much of a man anyways.
Right.
And that dealing with those guys,
Do you find yourself, now that you're out, almost like permanently craving more human connection now than you ever did?
No, I think less human connection.
Yeah. You don't be around other people at all.
No. But it's like my wife likes to go to a concert. I don't like to go to concerts because I got to be around a bunch of people. There's people behind me. I don't know who they are, what they are. And I'll tell you, part of that, I got spoiled as a Hell's Angel leader because I used to just go to the back gate. And, one night I was going into a concert and I went there and the guy goes, "You're not in the list, man." And who walks up? Willie Nelson, Willie goes, "What's going on here, man?" And I go, "He won't let us in." He goes, "You won't let him in?" He goes, "Let's go back to the trailer, George. We'll get high. We'll go smoke pot back there." And the guy freaked out. He goes, "No, Mr. Nelson, I'm sorry. So that's kind of treatment I got. It's like I go to the show, I go backstage, and, I'm talking to Johnny Cash, the Highwayman, Waylon, Willie, Johnny Cash, and Chris Christopherson. These are guys I'm subjected to, I'm hanging out with. You get spoiled,
Sure.
I'm up, backstage with Jerry Garcia, man. He's feeding me magic mushrooms,
Not bad.
Yeah, you get
He was
spoiled.
probably at the concert I worked.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, right.
I tell my wife now, man, I don't know. You really want to go? It's.
No, but the funny thing is, I could validate what you just said because I was working Ozfest in the 90s and two bikes pulled up. They didn't have their colors on. Guys were handsome Italian guys, two of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. And they get off the bikes and they're like, "Hey, Trooper, if you could just let the promoter know that we're here, he's going to let us in." And I was the only guy at the back gate. I'm like, who are you guys? He goes, "They were pagans." He goes, "We're actually pagans." It turned out it was the number 1, number 2 in Jersey.
Right.
And the promoter came down. He goes, "Guys, they're okay to come in." They look back at the girls. They go, "Hey, put on a good show for the guys while we're gone." I'm like, I'm like saying no, but I'm like, yeah, whatever you want to do. I'm the only guy
if they
sitting back there.
insist.
And I got to tell you, they were respectful. They came in. They went. Like you said, right backstage.
Yeah.
And
that's where I went to all the shows.
Yeah.
I went to a show after I got out of jail in 2001. I'm gonna tell you a little story about the Twin Towers and all that stuff. but the whole concept of concerts had changed. I still had some juice. I went and saw Lucinda Williams, and I knew them. I knew the band, and I went there. But it was a whole different ball game. Heavy security.
Yeah.
Like you had to go here and you had to go there, and you couldn't get in this section. You couldn't get in that section.
Probably had to get wanded and everything.
Yeah, it was just like a whole different trip, and I was having come out of that solitary
Well,
confinement.
didn't the Hells Angels do the protection for the Rolling Stones for
At
a while?
Altamont, yeah.
Yeah.
And that started a beef with them over
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wait, you did what?
Security for the Rolling Stones, the Hells Angels did.
They hired you guys.
Yeah, well, it's kind of they asked the Grateful Dead, they go, should we invite the Hells Angels? And the Grateful Dead go, well, we always do, so,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. It didn't turn out so good.
Why is that?
Meredith Hunter pointed a gun at the stage, and Alan Bizarro stabbed
Somebody
him,
got
killed him.
stabbed.
Killed him.
Hells Angels stabbed somebody,
Yeah.
but
Alan
Oh,
stabbed
shit.
him and killed him, yeah. And, but
that was a big,
I'll
that
get
was a
into
big
that.
deal.
That was a big deal. It was a huge deal. But I wanted to tell you this story. When I got out of jail, Sonny told me, you can't do this, you can't do that. I wrote, he said, you can't write a book. I wrote a book. Nobody tells me what I can and can't do. I'm a man. I make my own mind up.
Yeah.
Told me I couldn't have a TV show. I did the Outlaw Chronicles, did that TV show. And then I did a stage play. I wrote a stage play. And in the stage play, I talk about the dynamics of the club changing. And I said in 2001, the Twin Towers fell, and I said it was not only the towers that fell. I said the brotherhood was falling, and it's part of my stage play. And I think that the whole world changed after the Twin Towers.
100%.
The whole world changed, and I walked back into a different world. I had been in isolation, and
Right.
sensory deprivation, just the whole dynamics of solitary confinement. And I walked back in. It was really a different world. People were interacting different with people, and it was
a weird time.
It was a strange world. And I recently, my wife and I came and gave a lecture in Pennsylvania, and just for fun, we took about 4 or 5 days, and we came to the city. I took her to the memorial. I had gone to the memorial when I did the Outlaw Chronicles, but she hadn't seen it yet. And Beverly and I went, and I saw footage that I never saw before. And it just was profound. Like the people jumping out of the buildings and stuff. I mean, I was just kind of like, I had never seen any of that stuff because I missed it all.
Yeah.
Because I was locked up, and it brought back some. Not only did it affect me watching the stuff, it affected me emotionally because it triggered a lot of memories of being in solitary and coming home from.
Of course.
Yeah, and
You didn't see any of that.
No.
When we all did.
No, and just seeing it, I was like, and I was actually shocked how candid the memorial was. I mean, they just let it all hang out over there. I don't know if you've been there recently.
Yeah.
But I was told that a lot of that footage wasn't there before. I don't remember seeing that footage the first time I went to the memorial, and it was very recent when I went there. But I think that events change things and change organizations. You mentioned the Rolling Stones. We did the security at Altamont, whether we by choice or by just, here we are. Someone's pointing a gun at the Rolling Stones. We're going to react. Alan Bizarro sees a guy with a gun pointing at the stage. He stabs him in the neck twice. He's dead. Now the Rolling Stones made a deal with us. They said if anybody picked a beef up, they would pay the defense.
Wow.
The legal fees. Well, Jagger reneged on that. They didn't want to be. I don't think in a million years they ever thought anybody would get killed or they would be in any type of jeopardy. I mean, it's a concert, and they owed us $50,000. And in 1980, I think it was, one of the guys in the club flipped. Do you know who Butch Crouch was?
Mm-mm.
You ever heard of him? He's from
No.
Cleveland.
Mm-mm.
He flipped. He spilled the beans. Said, there's a murder contract on Mick Jagger. Hell's Angels feel they owe them $50,000 for Alan Bizarro's legal fees. And he made it public. He if you can look up online, there's it's a Senate subcommittee, and Butch is there with a screen around him so you can't see his face because he's in the witness protection program. But he talks about the contract on, we tried to blow up Mick Jagger's yacht. And the boat took on water, had explosives in it, and the boat capsized, and the guys had to swim back to shore. But after the word got out, we received a check from the Rolling Stones for $50,000.
Should have been with interest.
It should have been, and which was probably a drop in the bucket to those.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's insane that they didn't
I just
own up to that.
I think that I don't think they wanted to be painted with the brush. I understand that Alan Pizarro, they thought had an accomplice. The case was opened again. Do you know that this case was opened again?
The only thing I remember, I was a kid,
Right.
and remember Don.
I'm laughing.
Remember,
You're telling me
remember
you were a
Don
kid.
Kirshner's rock concerts.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I used to sit in my room
And watch Don
and I would
Kirshner.
watch those. I would
Saturday
sit,
night.
my brother's guitar.
Was it Saturday night?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would sit on the little stool thing. I had my guitar, and I remember actually seeing that, and I was like, I'm like, and my father coming in going, "Yeah, Steve, that's what happens at rock concerts. Don't worry about it." I'm like, but they, and the guy with the, "Yeah, Steve, it was a fake knife. Don't worry about it. It was okay."
Oh, it was all
It was a stage.
an
It's
act.
part of the act.
Who was trying to shoot him at this point? Who was
No.
it?
Meredith Hunter pointed a gun. A young black guy pointed a gun.
Just a random.
Well, he was there partying,
But that's what I'm saying though. He was just a random guy that went to go.
Yeah, he was a concert
Check,
goer.
okay.
And, they tried to make, he was black, so they tried to make it a racial thing, which it wasn't. Had nothing to do with it, man.
No, it was a gun thing.
It was a gun thing. You're absolutely right.
And
it was
and
about
the,
a gun.
The Hell's Angel was doing his job.
Yeah,
his
he
job.
stabbed him. Alan
I hate to
Pizarro
say it,
stabbed him.
but it is what it is.
Yeah. So it's in, I think 2004, 2005, they reopened the case.
Wow.
They reopened the case and reinvestigated. They thought there was a second stabber. It's kind of like the Kennedy assassination. There's a second shooter somewhere.
No, it's just one stab.
One stab. Yeah, he died from Alan Pizarro's stabbing him in the neck.
And did Al get in trouble?
No, Al was. He went to trial, and it was justifiable homicide.
Wow.
I mean, what do you do? Somebody's pointing a gun at the stage.
Yeah. You're protecting.
Yeah, you protect the people around you.
Wow. Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not expect to go in every different direction with
Well,
you. I have had a blast today.
Maybe we'll come back sometime.
I'd love to have you back, but we do ask the guest one question
Okay.
after every podcast. Throughout your entire life, what has been the lowest of your low, and what has been the highest of your high?
Well, I've had some pretty low points in my life. The death of my son, little George. He was a Hell's Angel with me. He was my vice president for a while. I was grooming him for the presidency. He died unexpectedly in his sleep. That was a very low point for me. Can I have more than one?
Please do.
When I left the club in good standing, and my status was changed to bad, no contact, and my character was assaulted. That was a very low point in my life. The carrying the torch in the Olympics was just magnificent. The newspaper articles were starting to be negative. Hell's Angels have always been the bad guys, and suddenly we're supporting the
You're holding the
Olympics.
torch.
Yeah, we're holding the torch, man. We're all of a sudden we're the good guys. When Irish and we were leading a pack of hundreds of Hell's Angels, and we stopped, and there was this was the area where I was going to carry the torch, and there's just a big line of, I don't know how many American flags were there. It looked like a tunnel of American flags, and you made a comment earlier about the hair on the back of your neck. Irish looked at me, he pointed, he goes, man, the hair on the back of my neck standing up. And I looked at Irish, I go, how's it feel to be a good guy? And, we were laughing, and he goes, let's do it, man. And we just took the pack. We went down there, and, we got off our bikes, carried the torch, and, we got ahead of the narrative, and we beat the feds kind of at their own game. Like these guys took a chance. It was like a chess match, and we out-chessed them. We made the moves they did, and we took their king. And it was a high moment for us. I remember the unity of the club, and I don't think I've talked about this too much. The Smithsonian Institute was interested in my patch and the torch to come to the Smithsonian. And the caveat that broke that agreement was they wouldn't guarantee that. Apparently they rotate the things that they exhibit.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't
weird.
either. And I said, will it be in public view all the time? They go, we can't guarantee you that. And I said, without a guarantee, I said, I'm not going to donate the torch. And the torch now hangs on the wall of my house.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
That's so high.
Yeah. So it's incredible. That's probably one of the highest points. The birth of my children, high points. My daughter, who's turned out to be saved my ass more than once. She's an astute criminal lawyer, unbelievable reputation. When she first. She was being punished for the sins of the father when she went into the courtroom. It didn't take long for the judges to find out, this is a woman that stands alone. She stands independent. She fiercely backs her family and her father. But the Christie family is always willing to accept whatever responsibilities judicially the system puts out to us. Mm-hmm. And that's where it comes to the comment of, I'm even. I paid my debt to society. Yeah. I'm even. I mean, those are high points. Seeing my daughter successful. I showed you my son's mathematics skills. I have a genius son that's was diagnosed with autism, didn't speak till he was almost 6, and now solves some of the most difficult math problems. Even the professors are in awe of some of the things he does. He just recently spoke in Las Vegas at a some sort of convention for physicists or scientists. What I don't know. I don't want to say what he is. I don't want him chewing my ass out when I get home. But a lot of highlights. I'm married. I was married for 25 years, a real solid woman. Because of the pressures of the club, we ultimately wound up splitting up. She unfortunately passed away. 10 years later, I remarried. As I was in prison, like most prison sentences do, your relationship unravels. That marriage ended. That was a 22-year marriage that just couldn't make it. That's a low point. The high point is, and some people find this provocative. I had a woman I'm married to now. I met when I was 12 years old. We were lifelong friends. She married a really good friend of mine, not a Hell's Angel, a guy outside the club. They were married for 57 years. He died of cancer, and somehow we wound up together. 4 years after his death.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, you know what? I think he would be really happy that she's safe. She's with me. I respect her. She's the world to me, and I'm the world to her, I think. Yeah. But those are high points in my life. perhaps coming here today.
Oh, come on. Stop. Don't.
Definite high point.
Don't overdo it.
Don't let me blush, George. That's amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on.
All right.
Uncle
I really
Steve, thank you for
appreciate it,
coming
man.
on.
George,
It was
thanks.
fun,
Great day.
man. It was fun.
Absolutely.
Great.
That's it for today, everybody. Cheers.